Hello. Welcome back to Geckoverse, your ultimate destination for all things geckos. I am Jennifer. You guys already know our main host, Joe. We're thrilled to have you guys join us for another episode. Today, we're going to have two special guests with us. We're going to have Riys Lopez with House of Reps and then Peter Melton with PM Geckos. So, without further ado, let's bring the guys on.
How's everybody doing?
What's up?
All right.
Hey,
All
guys.
right, mic checks are good. We should all be on. I don't see any mics off. That's a good thing. There does seem to be a lot of movement going on somebody's.
Movement?
Yeah, how we doing today, guys?
I'm wiggling over here a little bit, but it's all right.
I'm good.
Yeah, that was bought and paid for though, Peter. So, all right. So a little bit about you guys individually. We've never had either one of you on the show before, so I'm kind of really excited to have you both here, especially three different time zones going on this time, which is kind of cool. Peter, tell us a little bit about what you got going on over there.
All right. Well, first, originally I'm from Miami, Florida. This would be technically my third season in the UK, but I previously had 3 seasons in the States, not consecutively. I had one while I was working with my dad at a pet shop, and then after that, I picked it up on myself and had 2 seasons on its own back to back. Got out, moved over here, and repicked it up over here. And it puts me in now, my third year, starting my third year in the UK.
Okay. How are you liking it out there, man?
It's different. I mean, it's a lot more calm. It's relaxed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's different culture. It's completely different culture. I'm used to a lot fast paced. I'm used to loud. I'm used to people screaming and being really active. And over here, it's calm. Everything's closed by a certain time. You know what I mean? Like it's very people are very friendly. At least that's good to hear. At least people are very, very.
I gotta imagine that there's also a.
Overall, it's pretty good.
Yeah, so here in the States right now, obviously, and right when you left, we got a lot of nonsense political garbage in our ears every day. I'm imagining that you guys don't see a whole lot of that.
Did I
lose you?
Yeah, looks like it.
Okay.
Maybe.
Riys,
Yeah.
we'll move on to you until Peter gets back. Here he goes. How you doing out there in Georgia, man?
I'm all right, my man. Traffic sucks. One of those days, but it's all right.
Yeah, right on. I see you got your racks behind you there.
So, yeah, a little something.
Yeah, I see Squishy Gecko sticker right there. I don't see mine. Oh wait, no, it's up there. There it is.
Yep. I got you up there. I got yours on the incubator.
I see nice. Too.
That's awesome. So what kind of history do you got getting into Gecko? How long you been doing this?
I started collecting in 2020. One of the COVID boomer breeders, I'll say. I started off with a redfoot tortoise, and then went to Repticon, got a leopard gecko, and arguing who's going to hold the leopard gecko. So I got another leopard gecko, and now we have too many to hold. So, but it's going on my 4th season. I think I first hatched something in 2021, and then it's been going from. Yep, in my 4th season this year.
That's awesome, man. One of the things that I know we wanted to go over today was like we're going to do a little hatchling talk. I'm going to bring that up in a minute when Peter makes his way back. So it looks like
he's coming back.
Yeah, he's having a little bit of a connectivity issue, but we'll see him in a second. Right now, you were mentioning earlier that you had a couple of special projects going on. I know that it's a kind of a random thing in the hobby to not want to tell people the names of your projects. I'm anti that sort of thing, just because what we're doing is important and it doesn't matter where you're at in it. I was wondering if you wanted to at least tell us a little bit about what you might have going on over there.
Sure. I mean, I got to talk about it more before somebody else tries to do it. So, I'm working on something called the Glacier Project that I'm trying to start this year. Last year, I spent a lot of time getting my foundation animals and stuff. So this is my first year producing hets. But pretty much it's going to be Alby Snow, Blue Amber Eye, and then kind of line breed that a little bit more and see what kind of happens with that. But I want to initially get enough visuals without the albino and kind of get the albino away from it, and then focus on the Alby blue amber eye as a whole, like I said, and just kind of line breed that and see what's going on, and then add in some Alby ghost maybe to add some more lavender and contrast to what was going on. So a little something I'm starting this year. Hopefully next year I have visuals on it, and then everything outside of that is just kind of like fun,
Yeah.
fun stuff. So
One of the things that I always like to ask is, what kind of a year frame do you think it's okay to name a project, or
well,
that you'll feel comfortable doing it? Not
I
speaking from
mean,
authority, I get it, but.
yeah, no. I mean, that's why I was trying to keep it low key. I wasn't trying to be like, oh, here's my name, and but I was just like, let me get something worth showing first before I just toss a name around a bunch of times. But like I said, I've noticed some people are coming back, so
Yeah,
or coming with it. So I'm trying to get it out there before them.
yeah, no, we got a whole lot of people in the hobby that are really positive. I've noticed. I remember in the beginning, it always felt like it was more of a negativity scene. And so it was like, do you jump on the social media? I kind of remember 2011, and that wasn't fun. And then one day it was like, you know what? Yeah, let's get on social media. But there's a lot of positive people in the hobby, man. There's so many people that they don't cause drama, they don't hate what you're doing, and they don't feel any kind of way about you. And they're the same with like new incomers. I know there's like some stigma behind being new or whatever, but those are the kind of people that I kind of gear towards, just because positivity is more of a light that I like. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
and the idea that there are these rules, like I like some of the rules. Don't get me wrong. Like I wouldn't call it a rule. Like, it's more like a frowned upon thing, like naming everything. Like that's one thing. I've got a couple projects of my own. I haven't announced or anything like that, and I've seen a few of my projects I'm working on, what their names have gone. Somebody already called it, so it's like, damn.
Yeah, yeah,
Figure that out later. But the project itself, what I'm actually doing with the animals is what's important, not the name of it,
of
anyways.
course.
But all right. So Alby Snow, blue amber eye together. I haven't heard of anybody else working with that other than me, actually.
Yeah. I've seen,
but
I see people working with blue amber eye, but yeah, I haven't seen anybody using the two. And I also made sure to ask around here and there too to make sure nobody was before I really try to.
yeah,
I mean, I was gonna do it anyway, but before I tried naming something, I want to make sure nobody else was working first.
yeah, that's actually how we met. We were talking for a minute, and it was like you mentioned that, and I instantly was like, "Dang, I am working on that." But I'm
Hmm.
working on it a different way than you. So I remember telling you, like, I'm gonna go ahead and hold back and keep albino in it, and so I'm working with rainwater in mine. So mine is more of a gem snow thing, so I'm gonna stick to that over there. Yeah, what Gauge Boy says, hit that like button. So Peter, I feel like I can hear him. Peter, can you hear us? So you see the little thing that his screen is doing? That
Yeah.
usually means it's picking up his mic, but I'm sure he'll figure something out.
It shows his mic is on. It's just his video. So
I know we don't need to see his mug. We could just hear him if he talks.
Yeah, Peter's red beanie. I hope you can hear me. That's actually kind of funny.
he's
Yeah,
got his
just
headphones.
figure it on out and get back in here when you can, man. So let's see. So I wanted to save hatchling talk. We were going to talk about hatchlings and kind of how we do things, but I want Peter here for that. So let's go into products we use. Um, I know recently I just bought a whole bunch of something that you turned me on to. Reese, why don't you go over some of the stuff you use for your babies?
What do you mean?
Those
You know
little
what it means.
you know
You
what
know
I'm
what
talking
it
about?
The little human hide things.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
means. Guess who else is using them now too, Reese?
Oh, yeah. A lot of people. I mean, I just saw it one day and I was like, oh, it kind of fits if I turn the hide. I was like, maybe if I turn the hide, it'll fit back there, and it did. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, well, this works perfectly. Little door. I was like, you can see them. Fits,
Mhm.
for hatchling. Give them a little bit more enrichment. Also, I think we were gonna talk about that too, like shedding. So it just helps, with shedding a little bit more. But
Yeah.
I mean, they like it. I catch them in here all the time, digging, just chilling. So it's kind of like a little sandbox playground for them or something. But they definitely like it. So
Yeah, I
You
just
know
sent.
what?
I'm glad people are using them, which is
Yeah.
good.
Go ahead, Jen.
I was gonna say I just sent Joe a couple pictures last night of one of my babies. I found all I saw was its tail, and the rest of it was dug up underneath
Hmm.
the substrate. I was loving
No,
it.
they like it. The other thing it helps with too is like the top of the lid. You can spray it with water and it'll hold water, so they have somewhere to drink too. Here and there if you don't
Yeah.
like keep the water bowl. And I don't like misting them all the time, so I'll just put it on top of the box and just let them drink from there and stuff.
Nice.
But
Yeah.
it also helps without having to spray the whole tub all the time because you already have that little box humid already, so you don't need to hit the paper towel. You can let it be dry a little bit more. So
Mhm.
another reason why
Yeah.
I try to.
You know what my favorite thing about them is that they're perfect size for hatchlings, and you can grow something out to be about probably 15 to 20 grams in that thing, and they're 50 cents at Rainbow
Yeah,
Mealworms.
50 cents at Rainbow Mealworms.
You
Yep.
know, they snap together, so you don't have to worry about them popping off, and then yeah, they hold moisture in really well, even though they have all the holes all the way around. I
Yeah,
don't know.
but it's still just enough depending on how much water you put in there. So
Since they're only 50 cents, I'm almost positive too. Like when folks buy from me, I'm going to be shipping them in those just because I really won't be
yeah,
too
I
bothered.
noticed Thomas ships in those. That's what he uses to ship. So I
Does he
thought that
really?
was pretty. Yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool. So other people already were using them, just not for this use. They were using them for something else. So it was just
Yeah,
funny. It's very multi-talented cube
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Until I see them, I've seen the larger ones. Sorry, Joe.
No, you're good. I've got a lot of the 3D printed hides I got from Bubba's Living Emporium. Actually, those ones are my favorites. And when it comes to the hatchling ones, his brother Jaden didn't have a hatchling one yet. I said, "Hey, is it all possible that you could take this design you have and just shrink it down?" And now it's like a part of their store. And I, I bought a ton of them, man. I was like, "This is perfect." And I
Yeah,
haven't
no,
seen
that's
another one that I
very
like
cool.
just as much until these, So, but I mean, I've got so many of the ones from Bubba's Living Emporium. They actually sell them on their Etsy. So,
Mhm.
and for me, those work out really great as well. But I liked these because I could have them and then I could ship the animals in them. I'm not getting rid of you know, my ones from my 3D printed hides because those ones are badass, man. But
Yeah,
these are 50 cents, man. I probably grab a box of 100 every few weeks and just make sure I have backups.
this is what I use for my adults.
Yeah, no, dude, I've got those in mind too.
It's like kind of expensive, it's $6, but
Yeah,
you get a couple sandwiches out of it, so
got it.
worth it.
I know some people that house 17 of their baby geckos in those. So, um, let me see here. Let's see. Bubba says those 50 cent ones are clutch too, way cheaper as well, which help allocate funds elsewhere for the hobbyists.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
oh, that's a good point. But still, run to his Etsy, man. Those ones are awesome. I think
No,
they're
they
only
are. They are.
yeah.
Hey,
I
we
I
think
just
think I was
actually
my
Bubba
sparks.
found a website where they were a little bit cheaper. He tried to show me, um, but
Ah,
I think they raised the price since last time, so they're about the same anyway.
yeah.
oh, we got
There he
Peter
is.
back. Hey.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got your
Yep,
computer
yep.
back.
I don't know what the hell's going on.
That's all right. I'd rather have your graphic frozen and hear you. Can you still speak?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
hear you
All
just
right,
fine.
we're going. We're going. Screw
Yeah,
it.
just keep the video off. You're good. You're good.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah. We were just
Um,
talking about those little hatchling hides from Rainbow Mealworms.
yeah, these made a good point too. They're also a good transition from shipping. They can come out on their own, just open the lid and let them, like get used to the new surrounding. That's actually a pretty good point.
What I
It
like about
is.
those hides too, though, is it's nice that because you're putting a nice humidity, like something that's not going to dry up so fast. You get me? So like, if you do the paper
Hmm.
towel method, if you don't fold it or anything like that, after a day or two, it's going to dry out. You get me? But at least with those little hides, it's going to stay humid in there for that week. So it's going to be better for the baby to shed and all that stuff. I don't know if you guys already said
No,
that.
for sure.
No, no, we didn't actually. Just so everybody knows, that is not an AI. That actually is Peter.
Yeah,
So he is
I
with
am a
us
robot.
today. you kind of gave me the segue I needed, Peter. I wanted to talk about hatchling setups and how everybody kind of does it, and I obviously want to go into mine as well. So I waited till you could figure out your computer stuff, so that's awesome, man. Reese, let's go ahead and start with you since you've been here the longest. Um, when you hatch out your animals, kind of walk me through how you take care of them, what you do.
Well,
Bossing. Sorry, I was reading your
so
chair.
I get them set up in here with a paper towel first. I'll spray it down. You can hear
Yeah.
them already. This one hatched this morning.
Okay.
So I don't put any food or anything in there yet. I just give them the hide and the humid hide,
Okay.
and that's it. And I just kind of spray it down, and then I just leave them in here for a little bit until right now.
Okay.
But
How many days before you actually feed them? I've never.
so I wait until I see poop. Once I see the first poop, then I'll put food in there because that means they eat their shed and whatever, and they're ready to eat some more. So
Okay.
I'll do that. I just kind of wait. That way it doesn't waste any worms or anything like that. But I've noticed some will eat a lot faster than others, so you just got to kind of watch them. But yeah, I just kind of wait till I see maybe one or two poops in there, and I'm like, okay, it's time to feed.
I gotcha. Okay. And how many days do you think they? How many days would you say they normally go before they get their first meal?
So some of them will go like 3 or 4 days. Then some of them maybe like 4 or 5 days.
And they're
But
just
not.
fine like that, huh? I've noticed a lot of mine don't eat right away, so I put them in there right
Yeah,
when they're born. So I was actually kind of looking at that and listening to you, and I wonder if that's why they're not eating right away. But anyway, you were saying.
I forgot.
Oh, just-
No,
so
they eat they're gonna wait to eat their first shed and stuff. So I just kind of wait for them to get their first meal before I go to put that in there. But if I do notice like maybe one when it hatched, maybe it looks a little smaller than it should be or something like that, I'll sprinkle like calcium around the paper towel or like underneath the hide and stuff like that where they're gonna be at, so
mm,
they can maybe lick it while they're chilling before they get their first meal. So still throw a little supplements in there, but I won't put any
yeah,
worm food.
okay. Eat there. Actually, this is important right here. Do you see that, Jen? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, yeah, good.
Supply food.
Never really noticed that it was that color, but that makes sense.
No, yeah, I've noticed that it's always a green poo.
Mhm.
Okay. Peter, what
Hey,
about you,
yeah.
man? What do you do anything a little different or?
I pretty much do the typical, you get me? So they hatch, I put them in a 6 quart tub. Well, normally I do separate. This year I'm experimenting with doubles, like the hatchlings. But my issue with that is that they don't hatch at the same time. So I'll have normally one hatch and then the other hatch the next day. In that situation, I try to still put them together. If I notice that one isn't picking up as fast as the other within after 5 days, I always go 5 days after they're hatching to feed them. And then after those 5 days, if I notice that one is eating, the other one's not, I'll separate. But I've had times where after 3 days, just from seeing them be so active, I'd give them some food and they'd eat off the 3 days. But normally it's the 5 days.
I gotcha. It's the 5 days. That's actually not a bad wait period. So we normally we do it a little bit differently. I'll go into that in a minute. Jen, did you want to go over yours? What kind of setup do you do when they come out of the egg?
I pretty much do the same thing. I did what Peter did last year. But what I ran into putting them together was one eating more than the other, and then I would have a much smaller gecko. So this year, they're all individual. So as they hatch, they got their own tubs. Obviously, Reese turned us on to the little hide boxes, so I have those. And thanks to Reese, actually, I got some little baby hides at the last show that I went and
Oh,
visited,
yeah, yeah,
which are nice. And I'm going to say it, I cut the little meat trays and I like to use those on top, or sometimes toilet paper roll holders as long as they're like unscented, anything like that. I'll kind of stick in there a little bit. Don't give me no dirty looks, Reese. Okay. This is a non judgmental place.
I didn't say anything.
So, but I do the same. I wait to feed. I usually wait for the first poop. Once I see the first poop, then I usually will throw some food in there. But I always sprinkle calcium. That's just something that I do as soon as they're born. I always just sprinkle a little bit around. Yep, just like that, Reese. That's pretty much it. So, and I just monitor them and make sure once I put food in there, I watch what they're eating and just increase from there. So pretty much same it sounds.
Yeah.
This is one of those times when I actually like that we're doing this like a lot because I actually do it almost completely different. I feed them immediately, and
Yeah.
I feel like now I shouldn't. Um, they thrive just
My only
fine.
fear with feeding them right away is that it might put too much stress on them and then they go off feeding for longer. So that's why I
Yeah,
kind of want to wait that period, because I feel like if you wait that period, by the time they see that food, they're starving, so they're gonna go for it. But if when they're still absorbing that yolk and they're sitting there absorbing it, and you put like a live prey in there, I think that kind of like skids them out. You know what I mean? Kind of like puts them on edge, and then it probably puts them longer into not eating, in my opinion.
that is actually a good point. I had like there was an argument somewhere I was hanging out. People were talking about cohabbing, and I haven't developed a cancel anybody opinion on it yet. I know that in the wild they're communal creatures, and I know the argument that they're not in the wild now, and that whatever those arguments are, whatever they are. But somebody said it stresses them, and I said my response to that was, "Who told you that they shouldn't be stressed?" So technically, you're doing a little bit of stressing them, and that actually makes a lot of sense. Because yeah, they will be very hungry at that point. They will have eaten the first shed, the yolk that's on it, which I do see mine do as well. But yeah, I've always had food in there on day one, and I'm almost positive now that I'm going to do it differently. I guess the only worry I would have is how many that I have hatch at a time, that I might miss a day, miss a third or fourth day. But I set eyes on them every day, so I can't imagine that would happen.
Yeah, that's why I liked kind of like what Josiah was saying, and with Matt in that episode, where they were saying that when they had the hatchlings together, that they would
Mhm.
thrive because I guess they would like see each other feeding, or they would just like see each other act, and I guess
Yeah,
that picked up their like feeding response. So that's why I tried it this year, but I was just noticing it's like a 50-50. Some do well, and then some of them one outgrows the other too quickly. But I am noticing that they do when if they do eat, they both eat very well
yeah,
once they're together. So
I
I'm doing
got
what
you.
Bubba said on the chat, where once they're established and I see them eating and they're thriving, they separate.
Okay. Yeah, see, we house them separately from day one, but that's actually not a bad way to go about it. Because they could help each other out. I've even heard like little things like when they hatch together, the one crawls over the other egg, and that's what they say gets it ready to want to come out or something
That's
like
what I've heard
that.
as well. Yeah, that it like activates it. Like I mean, like they know that there's movement around that they have to get out.
Yeah. So with your setups with your care, I found these roofing tiles, and I put them in there, and they're very light. They're kind of like almost like they're porous, so they're not solid rocks, and they don't weigh as much, but they weigh enough to where the animal can't move it. I use that for like rubbing on and shedding. What kind of do you guys put anything in yours for the babies that cause for shedding or that help them out?
Well, I don't normally. I pretty much copy what Matt did in his videos back in the day. So I use the meat trays with a ceramic dish on top of that, and then a humid hide. So that ceramic dish, I guess, on the outside of it, where it's not glossed, is a bit textured, and I guess that texture they could rub on themselves. But I don't have an actual like something in the actual like enclosure that's used for them to shed. I normally don't have any issues with shed. I always try to keep my moist hides pretty moist. I know that's not always going to guarantee a clean shed, but
Mm,
I've only noticed with babies, like the days where like I stretch out and I get lazy and I don't do my maintenance like on every like 4 days or every 5 days. I'll notice that if they shed within the dry period, that they might have some sheds like on their fingertips or something like that. But aside from
mm.
that, I don't really have shed issues.
Yeah, I would say I'm the same. And I think Jen, you were telling me that you aren't experiencing that many shed issues with your babies. Is that right?
No, I haven't. And I don't have anything in there other than what I told you guys. I don't have anything for them to really, you know,
Yeah.
harder or more porous for them to rub on. So,
Yeah. Once I see that they've eaten their first shed, and then I feel like they've had their first meal, is when I kind of put an enrichment set up for them. I kind of do very basic. I don't even do a paper towel, but there is something for humidity in there. I also we spray them down. They have a place to go hide so they can feel safe and comfortable. And but we put we just kind of what Reese was doing earlier. We sprinkle the Vionate, a little bit of Vionate and a little bit of calcium towards the front where there's no water, so it doesn't get soggy. And yeah, so they can walk around. And I noticed that they actually will come to the front of the tub and grab those supplements and drag them to the back. It's usually everywhere. Those babies are active when you're not looking.
Yeah, I noticed you do that with babies that I notice that aren't establishing right away. If I have a hatchling already that's already on like day 7 and I'm noticing it's not eating its food, I'll do that as well before I get to the point where I have to like do an assist feed, and I probably do an assist feed on day 10. Yeah, I mean, I'll probably do 2 of them and that's it. And after that, they usually pick it up after that.
That is interesting, Bubba. That porous stone tile is great for males, huh? That's actually,
Oh yeah, that's pretty dope.
yeah. I'm sitting there thinking about a time that I probably should have grabbed one and threw it in. Dang. Thanks, man. Because I had one that was having that problem. That would have been nice to know back then. Where were you on that one, David?
Right.
No, and I know now. That's actually really awesome that he wrote that.
Just the heads up, Reese is having some connection issues, so he's going to try to get on his laptop. So hopefully we'll have him back soon.
All right. At least we have audio of me.
Yes.
At least we have audio. Joe, it wouldn't be a show if there wasn't technical difficulty. I mean, there's got to be some sort of technical difficulty to make the show happen.
Seems to be a common theme for us.
It's funny, Scott just got on here. Every time when I first met you, Peter, I always thought you were Scott. So when he would reach out to me, when he would reach out to me, I would think I was talking to you, and then he would say something that gave me the idea that we were in the same time zone, and I'd be like, "Oh, that's right, that's not the same guy." But this is a while.
Scott's my
you guys
brother,
actually sound a lot alike, and that's why. But anyway, sorry. All right, so you brought up Matt a couple of times, and the way that he did his stuff in the beginning. I was actually that leads me into something I wanted to ask you is kind of like, who in the hobby are some of the people that you look up to and prefer to learn from?
Well, obviously, when you say look up to, you get me. It's like people that obviously are being active on Instagram, and you could see what they're doing. You get me. You can't really see what anyone's doing if they're not being active. But I would mainly get all my information and all my resources from podcasts. I obviously do have the leopard gecko books, like the Ron Tremper ones and all that, and I've read them, but I don't retain material very well reading. I'm more of a visual and audio learner, so I like to prefer to actually listen to podcasts or watch videos. So I would go through all the like Gecko Nation radio like episodes that you can still find on like Apple Podcasts, if anything. And then there's like Late Night Leos. I listen to that, and then I do Strength on Leos, and then I watch all of Matt's videos, and then I just do that in rotation until I get kind of burnt out from watching that, and then I'll take a break, and then I'll watch probably a different subspecies, a different just animal at all, like completely watch a whole different podcast, just to get kind of refreshed. And then once I kind of get burnt down to that, I go back and do the cycle. But the thing is that, I'm kind of glad you brought this up, because the thing is that it's kind of very repetitive. It's all the same information. You know what I mean? You're hearing the same things over, probably just spun differently. You know what I mean? So it gets tiring pretty fast. But what was interesting that in a podcast with Josiah and Matt, and it's funny because it's like you hear these things all the time, but I also think that a lot of times in life, like you need to like be ready to hear certain things, or you have to be ready to accept certain knowledge to be able to like make sense to you. You know what I mean? Like I don't feel like just because you do a lot of studying and you do a lot of reading or whatever that you're the man. You know what I mean? That you're gonna get everything. Like I feel like experience kicks in, and also like a little bit of maturity has to kick in to the point where whatever is being said to you makes sense. You know what I mean? So that was one of those moments with me on that episode with Matt and Josiah, with it when I heard Josiah talk about him having to pull the DA, like when he was, I forgot the term. Now that I'm saying it, I forgot the term, and it sounds stupid. When he's saying that he's pulling, he wants to pull all the DNA out from all the genetics out from the male. When he's like, and then he was talking about how he breeds, and then, you want to pull the genetics, you want to pull these genetics, and I was like, what the fuck is he talking about? Like, I've never heard anyone like phrase it that way. You know what I mean? So then I actually called him, and then I try to think of just a simple question to ask him that would kind of speedball a conversation, just so I could kind of hear of how he would speak about breeding and whatnot. And my whole thing was, how could I make a 1.2 last me as long as I can before I have to get new blood to like refresh my group. And his response to me made me rethink my whole way of breeding. Made me rethink of how I was even approaching it, and how I was even going about my breeding habits in general were kind of not wrong, but I wasn't thinking for longevity. I was more just thinking for now, and for like
Yeah.
color, and trying to get wow factor. You get me? So I know
Yeah.
that's kind of just a big like smooch to fucking Josiah, but like I gotta give him his flowers. Dude is a
Yeah.
genius. The guy knows what he's
Well,
talking about.
what was his answer? Do you recall?
So okay, it's gonna be a long spiel. You get me? So what he told me was to do was to breed my male to my two females, right? And to pretty much keep mostly all those females, and then separate those groups. I mean, keep all the babies, and to separate those groups between either, if I wanted to separate between either structure. You get me? Animals that have good structure,
Yep.
doesn't matter how they look, just the
Yep.
structure of the animal, and then another group for color. You get me?
Yep.
And then in the second year, repair those males to those females. You're not touching those babies. If you want, you could touch those babies and breed those babies to something else, but they're not going back to the male, or they're not going back to that original group. They're just staying. You're building a squad pretty much.
Yep.
And then in that second year, you're being pickier, and you're pulling out the better babies that you're seeing, obviously. And then he even said to go a third year. You get me? And after that third year is, what that male's producing. You've pulled all the genetics out that you can see. You're seeing what phenotypes you could work with. You've seen what you could either use as strengths or weaknesses. And then
Mhm.
from there, you either start crossing cousins to each other, or so on and so forth. But that right there gets you what? After doing all that, that's 4 or 5 generations when you start crossing cousins to each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where if you do that like the normal way, by the third, fourth year, you've already inbred to what? Like four, you've done brothers to brothers, you've done mother to father, you've done this and that. You get me? So doing it that
That's
way, I
good.
feel like you're building a better group for the future. You know what I mean? I'm building animals that are gonna last me later on, that are going to be stronger, rather than racing to get to a finish line that at the end of the day my animals, like, dude, you can't put good structure back into a bad animal. You know what I mean? You could put color into a good structured animal.
Yeah.
It's hard to do the other
No,
thing.
so you're going to have a lot of siblings and half siblings. They're going to be, some are 3 years older, some are 2 years older there. So, how do you? Obviously, you're still working with a 1.2, but you do have 3 generations of children that are directly related to each other. Cousins wouldn't be the word.
No, there'd be more like steps. Yeah, exactly, like stepchildren, like
Yeah.
step siblings, whatever.
And so then basically you have those 3 generations. And if you're going to do any pairing back or crossing back, you pick from the best, is what you're saying. So
You'd
that
pick,
you,
yeah, you'd pick from the best, and again, you'd have those groups. So you'd either, obviously, you'd want to start with the older females first, because they're older, and you're not going to get as much as you can out of them. So you're going to start with the older females first, and then you're going to see what genetics they pull out. You know what I mean? And that's going to kind of give you an idea of what the other ones are going to give you as well. But then
yeah,
at the end of the day, you're building a group. The idea of everything is not to just hoard everything. It's just to keep back everything, so you see what it looks like when it grows. You see what it looks like from baby to adult. You see what holds. You see what doesn't hold. You know that these groups are going to be stronger structure wise. You know that these groups hold their color better. And then when it
yeah,
gets to that point where you've done all that pulling, is when you start webbing. And with those webbing is that's when you start maybe like searching for color, searching for this and that. But I would feel either way, fifth year, I'm still getting new blood in.
I see. That's actually a really good way to go about it too. And then you're also being patient. You're not overly inbreeding.
I think it
Yeah,
gives you something to look forward to. It kind of makes you treat your animals as recessives in a way. I know it's kind of like a wrong way to even bring that up, but it makes you
no,
feel like it's you're slowing things down. You know what I mean? Like it's like you're trying to like see what your animals could actually do, because we're such a big rush where we breed our animals, and then the next year your animal's done, when you don't really know what the full potential of that animal is. You know what I mean? Like how many times have we seen breeders breed their females, and then the next year that female's up for sale? You know what I mean? Or that male's up for
yeah,
sale because they breed a new male. You know what I mean? When at the end of the day, like I've had males that I have that aren't really that like the best looking, but paired to the right animal, produced some
Okay, so see
crazy
me?
nice
Can you hear
animals.
me?
Yeah, we see
yeah,
you, Ray.
Okay, so I'm back. I'm good. Okay. I
Mr.
can't hear.
Witherspoon.
I can't hear Pete though. I
can't hear Peter.
Hello, hello. Testing 1 2 3.
Well, I can hear you, Peter.
I
Okay.
can hear him. You got your connection back, Reese?
Yeah, I just had to switch to my laptop. My phone like overheated or something, and it just shut down.
Oh, okay. You got an iPhone?
Yeah.
I feel like you just lied because iPhone doesn't have anything bad about it. I'm just kidding. That's extremely.
So this was turned on with this.
I got a
overheating.
the whole Android. So Peter, we got a question here that says how closely related is the 1.2 that you're starting off with?
Well, the initial conversation was just to
Okay.
be general. You know what I mean? So that when I asked Josiah that question, it wasn't like for, well, I meant my specific group, but my initial question was to generalize. So it's just to be like in general, if I had a 1.2 that wasn't related, what would be my goal? But the fact is that in my group itself, I would imagine that one of them is slightly related because just knowing how Matt breeds his animals, they would all at least stem back to that one male.
Mm,
So Joker wise, my two Jokers, because my 1.2 is actually a Joker male, a Joker female, and an Atomic female. So the Atomic wouldn't be related to it at all. And then the only thing that would be related to it would be that Joker female, and it would be just by great grandfather.
okay. So not very closely related in that case.
So it's still related in some way, but not from the Atomic side.
Right. And how many of these are you working on right now? Do you have an idea, or you just got the one?
What are you talking about? Like what's my project? Like what is my group right now?
Yeah, 1.2s, or what?
Yeah,
Just
so right now, well, with that one, it would be the 1.2 with just the one Joker male to the Joker female to the Atomic female. And then I have Clown G crosses from the previous 2 years that I'm throwing the male in just to see. I think it was a conversation I had with you, Joe, that I was
Uh-huh.
telling you that I wasn't sure that if I wanted to get rid of my old G project stuff, my Clown G stuff, and you were like, bro, if you throw your Joker into it, like you're gonna see that old genetic's gonna mix in and you're gonna get some good stuff.
Yeah.
So I kept it just for that reason also. And I
Yep.
also bred your Bangle, the Bangle I got a few to
Yeah.
a sibling to it as well, just to see just to see what would pop out of it.
Yeah. Have you had any of those hatch yet?
Yeah, bro, and they're nice. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
They're small, but again, when they're small, it's all misconceiving. You get me? Like you could have amazing
Yeah.
hatchlings, and then they hit 25 grams, and they're just a normal looking animal.
I'm getting a message from Jen. Reese, can you hear me, bud?
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
Yeah, he
All right.
can hear us. He
You
can't
can't
hear
hear Peter at all?
I can hear it all. So it's just silent. I'm just like,
All right.
what's going on?
Yeah.
But I
I
see
got
his
you.
mic moving on the screen. But yeah, I can't hear him.
Oh yeah, he's doing a lot of talking. Are
He's
you on
doing a
your?
lot.
Are you on your?
No, it's
Are you
good
on
talking,
your,
Peter. It's good.
I
are you
switched
on your
to
phone?
no, I switched to my laptop.
All
That's
right,
what's
buddy. I'm
up.
gonna call you, and you can hear from here. Just mute the phone.
Oh, okay.
Cool. That'll help. Cool.
Yo, we're MacGyvering it all the way through.
We
All
are.
right.
Yeah, that'll actually help him be able to hear you too. So you're kidding.
Oh.
You're kidding.
You're both going to have to mute your phones.
Yeah, we always have these too, and I do the sound check and everything, and then something
It's funny
else
because
goes.
during the sound check, it was all good. Everything works just fine during the sound check.
Yeah, sound
no, it was
check
really
was
good.
no problem.
Yeah. So what I'm gonna need to do is absolutely nothing. We're just gonna have to keep going.
Just fight through it.
Show business. Keep it rolling.
There you go. Let's see. So you obviously do an awful lot of looking up to Josiah. I do as well, man. Every time I get to talk to Josiah, and he's a busy dude. There's a lot of interesting stuff that he does talk about. So Reese, going over to you because you were gone for a minute. We're actually bringing up like kind of who we look up to in the hobby and who we
Okay.
get a lot of good information from. I was wondering who is that for you?
Say me, bro.
But I would say Geckoverse. I mean, I look up to him a little bit. I've never bought from him yet, but I just like his business practices and his breeding practices. just like close friends. So like you guys, like everybody I talk to, I look up in a way too. I learn from everybody I talk to, whether it's good or bad. But pretty much everybody, I look up to everybody. As long as you're doing good, I look up to y'all.
That's really great. Who would you say is somebody that you've learned? Like, if you were to say, like, I'm going to grab, doesn't have to be somebody big or small, whatever. It's just name drop the person that you feel like, taught you something significant that you go at every day with your animals.
That's a tough one.
It is actually. I'm trying to think of the answer to the same question.
That's a tough one. That's something you gotta ponder on a little bit.
But when you ask that question, is it just to like someone that's physically spoke to you and taught you something, or something you've learned off of, even though they haven't physically spoke to you, like a video or like a podcast?
Honestly, either one of those is fine. I could say one of the people that I know that I've learned quite a bit about when it comes to work ethic would be Jen. Top right of the screen right here. So if anything is not right, she is very meticulous, which sometimes meticulous can be over the top, but then you're going to have healthy animals. But I mean, I've literally, we're at a 3-hour time difference. Reese knows that. And sometimes I'll see her updating something and then it'll ping my phone and I'll look over and I'm like, it is 1 o'clock in the morning over.
I get a message that says, go to bed.
Accidentally pinging my phone. And so just like, just seeing that care for her animals. And she'll tell you this is her second season. So she doesn't, claim any, whatever fame or anything like that. But
she's famous.
Her work ethic is insane to the point where she don't damn sleep, dude.
I don't. You're right. There's a lot of mornings I'm up till 2, 3 in the morning working in here.
You're overdoing it. So,
I can't tell you how many messages I get from Joe. Go to bed. What are you still up? What are you doing? I'm like, gecko shit. Like, let me be.
Yeah, she'll be.
I do that too, but it's just like even observing, just watching them and just hanging out with them. Like I might not even be cleaning.
It's my happy place.
Yeah, like let me just hold this one for 20 minutes and see the temperament, see how it's chilling, and just hang out. Pretty much. Maybe you notice a difference on the pattern.
Yes, David. His wife knows that. His wife has even texted me, has my phone number. We're cool. My husband also knows too. So
this man tried to call y'all out.
No, I think he was talking about the comment with Brent from B&M. That's what he's talking about, I think.
No.
No, I think he's talking
Brent from BM is dope, though.
Yeah. The guy said I have a good relationship with Brent.
Clint says, he says, I'm on Gecko time.
Late. Yes.
Yo, so is my computer, Clint. We're good.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to looking up to people, for me, it's really anybody that I notice is positive. If there's positivity around, that's kind of where I want to buy when I'm buying. The other thing is, I don't know if your ethics are in check. I feel like you deserve some attention in the way that I want to hear from you and learn from you. I don't know. I like to find out that I don't know something. That's actually my favorite thing. I'm pondering the two of you and what you said about your hatchling setups. And I would have said this morning when I woke up that I got the best hatchling process. And now I don't like my process anymore.
No, it's funny though, because that's kind of like how I felt when I was listening to that podcast with Matt and Josiah. You know what I mean? Like I felt like I had a good grasp on like what's going on. And then after they were talking, I was like, dude, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Like, I don't know shit. You know what I mean? Like, there's different levels. I think there's just different levels to it. And like, we just get to a certain level. And then once we're able to get to that next level, something to make you aware of it.
Well, I think that's the beauty of being able to talk and have the community. Is not all of us are going to do everything the same. We're not going to.
The community isn't the best though at the same time, because in all these podcasts, you always hear people talk about like, "Oh, I'm open booked. Come and talk to me. Come and talk to." And I've taken up a lot of offers, and you always get a lot of left on red. Yeah, I mean, I've had a few people hit me back up, but then when you start, but it's kind of a double-edged sword though, because like you want to reach out to these people because one, you're a fan, and two, you want to just ask questions, but what's a good question to ask? You know what I mean? Like, what's that question that's going to make the conversation like roll? because I'm definitely the person that's not very good at first impressions. If I reach out to someone, the chances are that we're probably not going to click right away. Yeah, I mean, it's got to be something that we work on.
Yeah, it
You know what I
took me a
mean?
couple of tries to like Peter.
So it's, I bet, you know what I mean? So the thing is
No, I'm
that
just
if
kidding. I'm
you're
just kidding.
approaching a big breeder or someone you look up to, and that's how your personality is, where you got to warm up to that person, it's never going to happen. You know what I mean? Because after that first message, you're just going to get pushed to the side. So that's where it's kind of scary to reach out to your fans. Reach out to the people you look up to, because it's kind of like that double-edged sword where you reach out to those people and then you get shitted on. You're kind of like, man, that sucks. You know what I mean? So
I agree.
it's kind of better to like be a fan and like watch them than be a fan and kind of just ask questions about stuff that you kind of already know, but just to start a conversation.
Well, I agree with what you're saying, Peter, but also like us having this roundtable and just seeing the different opinions is what I'm saying, and seeing how we all do things differently, or we do them the same. We don't have to agree with each other as long as we do it right. I like the fact that I can learn from everybody.
100%.
So even if I'm not going to take what you're doing, it is, like Joe said, it's interesting to find out, okay, there's different ways of doing things. And it's not just one, there's not necessarily one right way. I mean, as long as we're doing what's right by the animal, number one priority right there.
It's just getting the people to talk about it, though. That's the issue.
Yeah. Well, when you find those people, you keep those people.
Yeah, exactly. Because you
Does
try to start those conversations.
everybody Does everybody here know Joe Yingling?
I do.
No, I do not.
Okay.
I've never met him.
No.
I mean, I know who he is, but I've never met him.
All right. So Lake Erie leopard geckos. When I first got back into the hobby, you have to remember I had animals for three seasons, 2010, 11, and 12. So not really long enough to get a lot done. And then obviously my job traveling, I had to. My wife was tired of taking care of my animals, so eliminated my stock. Didn't have animals for 6-7 years, maybe. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, when I got back in, I kind of remembered there was like a lot of negativity, and there was like the gecko forums, and that was always going south. And so I wouldn't hop on there just because you felt like if you said something, it was everybody waiting to jump on you. And I was like, all right, I'll hop a flight. Anyway, so I'm not going to get involved in that. But when I got back in, I bought an animal from Joe Yingling at Lake Erie over in Ohio. And he was really neat in the sense that he was like telling me about, get on the phone, talk to people on the phone, start chatting. And it made me think about how, we don't talk on the phone anymore, a lot of us, when you think about it. I think our kids are doing that to us in a sense. Because I'm a little older. My kids are all adults. And they don't talk to each other on the phone. They text or, I don't know, Snapchat each other. But so he was like telling me that he was talking to John Scarborough and Rudy over at Bolden Bright, and it was like, I'm not buying all these animals off you if I can't get you on the phone. And he got those guys on the phone, and I know that they're all really good friends now. So that's like kind of a cool thing that I learned. It's been 4 years now, maybe 3, since I started talking to Joe. But yeah, no, it's led to a lot of this, and it's led to the location of some really cool people, and I've got to have conversations on the phone with some of those same people that Joe was talking about. Each and you guys, I talk to Riys almost all the time. He stalks me.
No, I was just about to touch on that though, not the stalking part, but on the phone thing, because that's exactly how I was with you. I was just like, hey, give me a call when you got some time. I don't like to text them back and forth. I try to talk to people, because I rather have a conversation than text, every sentence every 2 hours and barely get a conversation going. So I feel like it's more personable.
Yeah, I definitely feel like when you call them, you're definitely breaking a lot of barriers. I mean, you're not. A lot of things could get misdreuded in text. I mean, you could send a text to someone and people could take it in 10 different ways. But when you're talking to someone over the phone, you could already hear their tone. You hear if they're joking. You hear if they're not. I mean, like you see if they're serious. And I think it communicates better, obviously. I mean, and then not only that, but you build a level of trust once you've spoken to someone. Dude, because Riys is the same way. Riys hit me up out of nowhere. I mean, like we were friends on Instagram. I mean, messaging and yeah. But one day he just called me. He just called me, and then ever since then, now we talk twice a week. I mean,
at least.
Same thing. And the same thing when I called Josiah. It was the same thing. Like now with him, I feel like I'll call him again and it's not going to be weird. You know what I mean? Like we've already broke that barrier. Like once you make a
Yeah.
phone call with someone, I
Yeah,
feel like
yeah.
you kind of get closer with someone. You know what I mean? That and those bonds become
It's
stronger
as
and you
closest to meeting in person as
correct.
possible.
Correct. Especially from a distance, you know what I mean? 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we do have something unique in common, which is kind of great. And if you think about it, the reason there's such a distance between everybody is because not everybody's into the same thing. It is unique in a sense. There's a lot of us, but we're not all in the same condensed area. So those phone calls to me are important, especially when you need help or need something. I try not to bug too many people. I do like to talk on the phone. But like when I needed help in the beginning, I hit up David a lot. Sorry, I don't. I never asked Bubba, but I don't know if you like David or Bubba better. So I'm assuming one of them's a nickname, but that's who I used to hit him up a lot, but only because no matter what I ever asked, I mean, he had not only he never gave me the real quick bullshit answer. It was this is the answer to your question, and here's a whole lot of shit you need to read as to why. And then half the time I feel bad because a day would go by and I realized I never said thank you or I never like responded because I was reading all of that like 7 times. And yeah, so it was really cool to reach out to him and to have a good rapport there. And that didn't come from buying anything from him. Like I'd never at that point in time I don't think I had picked up an animal from him, but he would help and it would be a lot of stuff. So but yeah, no, being able to get a message through or to talk on the phone. And I don't even think he and I have ever talked on the phone. Josiah says that Bubba's a good name. I guess
Yeah, I
that's
kind
what.
of like that. It's a dope nickname.
It is.
It's funny because
But
that's
it's
what I call like my dog and some geckos. I'm like, oh, come here, Bubba.
but it's funny though because Bubba's actually a good example of that because Bubba actually is very like not in a negative way, but he jokes around. He's very sarcastic. So I remember when I first met Bubba, I kind of with his messaging, I took it the wrong way. You get me? But I didn't know that he was just joking around, and it took me reaching out to him and talking to kind of
Yeah.
being like, dude,
Yeah.
this is how he is. He just messes around. You know what I mean? But that's a
See,
perfect
that's why I
example.
call too because I'm like that. I'm such a smartass that I know I need to make it aware before you talk to me.
Yeah. Now, Peter, you said you have issues with people not liking the way you come off right away because I don't think I experienced that with you. I liked you right away.
Yeah,
So
me neither.
what kind of stuff are you talking about?
I think it's not when because if I speak to you, like if I actually get to speak to you, like talking, and it's actually like voice notes or something, I think we could break that barrier. But when it becomes just texting, like if I text a question to someone,
Uh,
or maybe the way I word it, or maybe the way that, like I said, just in text, it could be taken so many different ways. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
if I don't initially get a verbal like conversation going, we're
Uh,
probably not going to click right away. It's probably going to take a couple bantering or maybe me doing a live and then we're talking through a live, then it's like, oh, okay, he's cool. But I've just from experience, I've just noticed that if I've started off with a text with you, it's probably going to take a while for us to get cool.
I got you.
Yeah, I was gonna say I
Uh,
didn't get that vibe from him, so it definitely has to be a text thing.
Yeah, it's definitely got to be like because I'm nice. I mean, once you start talking to me, maybe it's the persona I give off online, or maybe that like
Reese
an
says,
asshole.
yeah.
I was just playing. I was just playing. You're nice, dude.
anyways,
Friendly neighborhood Spider Man.
There you go. Hold on 1 second.
yeah, man. Reese,
Yes, sir.
you have a secret project that you're trying not to tell us about. Josiah's listening. Tell us all about it.
I thought I did already. That was like the beginning of the show.
Now, so I know you're working with your Albies. Do you mind if I ask you where you got them? Is that too controversial? Controversial?
Nah, I mean I've tracked it back to where they come from, but I mean they come from Alby, who went to Matt, and then from Matt to Miles, then from Miles to Evan, then from Evan to Greg, and then from Greg to me, and then that
You
same
really did
timeline,
track them down, bud. I like that.
in that same timeline, but to Miles, but then from Miles to Dylan at Dab Exotics, and then I also got from him as well.
Okay. And let's see. So, where are you at in the project? Would you say how many years in?
First year. So I'm creating all
Oh,
my heads right now. Yeah, I was just building up my stock last year, getting my foundation from these people and stuff, and that way I could start this year with as clean as possible lines that I can, and go from there. So I'm making on my heads this season. I got maybe 4 so far, and then next season I'll get my visuals hopefully.
This is a really good point that Gage Boy makes. Um, so he would have 50 more geckos if everybody answered his DMs, and he's got an animal from me, so he's not kidding.
That's funny. You never hit my DM, bro.
Yeah. You got, let's see, Josiah. Greg is a great guy. Yeah, I call him Triple G actually, because he's got a lot of G's in his little name. So, but yeah, no, he is a great guy. We talk about quite a few things here and there, but he swears that I owe him some red diamonds. I know he talked about them. It's been a while. He don't use the phone very often, so maybe he'll see this and he'll give Joe a call.
It looks like he's pretty talented because I know he does tattoos too, and apparently he can sing and dance.
We're talking about.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. There's a thing on the screen, Peter, that says Bubba can dance and Bubba can sing. It's in the comments.
I bet he can.
Yeah. So I actually was talking to Samantha, and she was I was telling her that I'm gonna have to go get me a Bubba's Living Emporium tattoo, not of his logo, but from him directly one day, just so I can have a gecko guy give me a tattoo.
He says he does not dance.
Yeah, I was telling Scott that I wanted to go out to California, maybe do like a little
gecko I'm getting round pictures trip. Sent to me of being on my phone.
Oh. Sorry, Peter, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying that I want to go to California and probably visit some of the do like a little California breeders trip and just visit a bunch of the guys. Or probably go there during a show. A lot of the people are over there, or maybe do like a Daytona also. I want to a lot of the Florida guys.
Yeah,
I'm going to Daytona every 3 months this year.
Yeah,
I did it last year. Is it in August again?
Yep.
Yeah, I think so.
17 and 18, I think.
Yeah, I think I sent you the dates, Riys.
Mm-hmm.
It actually wasn't that bad too, and I got to tell you, I went to Daytona and I met some people, and Jen's one of them. Josiah was another one. I met Nick. It's like all the people that you look up to and that you talk to online, and that they're all over there. So when I went there, I met Matt. It's like everybody.
I'm about to meet Josiah and Matt.
Bro, I love shows. I love the energy. Like, I love going there, vending, and it's like the whole vibe. People coming to the table, the rush. You know what I mean? Like, the only thing that sucks is that in the UK, it's only one day. You know what I mean? It's only one day. It's not even a full day. It's like a half day. And then not only that, but there's 3 of them a year. There used to be 2 companies that would do that, would like have them like a southern one and a northern one. And then one of them got taken away. So now we only have the northern one that does like 2 shows up north and then 1 show down south. And that's it. So now there's another branch now that just started off that's doing more shows, but we barely have any shows. A lot of animal rights people find out where the shows are, and then they'll do like some shady stuff to like make it shut down or something. I don't want to talk too much about it before I get like fucking canceled or some shit. But yeah.
I had a brother-in-law who had his brother owned a barbecue house. And PETA would show up there all the time because he also he owned a pig farm. And so he provided his own meat, and PETA would show up. And it was hilarious watching him. One day they came and interviewed him and were like, how can you do this to these animals? And he grabbed the mic and he's like, are you going to let me answer? And he was like, all right, so come on down to Waldo's Barbecue for the best. He just started plugging himself. Maybe that's what you guys ought to do out in the UK. It sounds like you have the same show problem we have here in Arizona. We've only got 2. There's like a thing where if you go to one, the guy doesn't let you go to the other or whatever. So
I heard about that. That's kind of intense. It kind of like makes you like choice to like pick who you have to go to, and if you pick the wrong one, you're screwed. You know what I mean? Like, so you kind of have to wait it out.
You go to both, and you see the same people. And the last one, the guy said, "Oh, we don't need a leopard gecko guy," and I'm like, "All right, that's true, but you have 27 ball python guys."
Well, that's the good thing about the second show that I was telling you about. So the person that's organizing the second show that has the 3 shows in the UK is very selective on what they're going to bring in. So like, for example, if they have like, they're only allowed to have like, let's say 50 tables. So if like 45 ball python breeders come in, they're going to be like, nah, bro, sorry. We only have 20. You know what I mean? We need at least 5 gecko guys. We need at least another 5 like Bronian guys. We need like people breeding different stuff, so it's not just a snake show. Because everywhere
Yeah.
you go in the hobby, it's going to be a snake show.
And I like ball pythons, but there were so many everywhere that I just honestly was trying to put my hands on all the snakes that weren't ball pythons. I wanted to see everything else.
Yeah.
Samantha picked up quite a few of them, and she's like, "I think we should get into this." And I'm like, "No, no, it's a lot. There's a lot going on there." But yeah, no, I don't know. There's so many. I don't. And they're all beautiful. You want to hold and buy every single one of them, but
There's a show here that's like that too, called Reptilian Nation, and they kind of dictate how many ball python breeders, how many crested gecko breeders, and all that. That way, they don't have too much, and there's a variety. And I kind of like that.
I kind of like
Even
that
the
too.
first one I did, they told me I had to take off half my table, which was crested. They were like, "We have enough crested breeders," and I was like, "All right, whatever." And I just had my Leos, but it was
But I
still
like
cool.
that. I like that because I'm in the minority. You get me? So it works out for me. You know what I mean? If I was a ball python
Yeah.
breeder, I'd be like, screw this. I hate this. You know what I mean? Like, but I'm all right.
No, a lot of the snake people do. They try to boycott it. They're like, "Well, I can't go. I don't like that show." I'm like, "You just didn't get the first cut. You got
What's
to
crazy
sign
for
up
me
quicker."
was like when I first moved to the UK was the like different stuff I had to use. Like they don't have heat tape here. They don't have like
What?
herpostat. They don't have like any like of like those the thermostats you guys use over there. They don't have that here. Like I have to run heat
The
cable, and
VEs?
that's how I get like heat to my racks. Like so when I first moved to the UK, I had to like pretty much start from scratch and like relearn what people were doing, and like people, and even to ship an animal, like it's not like we don't use FedEx, we don't use UPS. We have to hire some dude in a van that comes to your house, picks the geckos up, drives them to another
What?
person over there to drop them off. That's the only way it gets done. You know what I mean? So if
Wow.
you're
Like
importing,
Gecko Uber over there.
pretty much. So if you're importing, for an example, I'd have to hire a guy to take the geckos from the UK to the Netherlands, drop it off at DDI, have DDI ship them to there. You know what I mean? So it's an extra
mm,
step, and vice versa. So if I had something coming in, it has to go to DDI and have some guy in DDI get picked up and bring it into the UK. But
So
because
the
of,
shipping costs more out there because of all that?
well, yeah. So initially, it would cost me 100 and Chris is in the chat. My friend Chris is in the chat. He could probably vouch for me, but I think it's like 180 for up to 3 geckos, and then anything
yeah,
over that is going to be 45. And then once it goes to DDI is 125 euros to get it shipped over, and then another 85 euros additional.
Wow.
So that plus
yeah.
the cost of the gecko, plus the cost of shipping the gecko into the States also. So you have to pay,
How much
like
in
for example with
pesos?
Joe. So when I did the import with Joe had to ship the animals from where he was to the port. So that's
Hang out
$90
in
right
her
there.
boots.
And then the port
Yeah.
to DDI, and then from DDI, some guy has to pick it up and drop it off to me. So something that should take like 2 days, 3 days ends up becoming like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Now, I will say this: DDI does take your animals out and they give them water. They check on them. I even think they clean out the paper towels. I'm almost positive that I thought that they fed them, but I don't think they would in shipping. So that's probably better that they don't.
Yeah, I'm not sure that they do
I
that.
wouldn't. But I don't think they feed them, but they definitely give them water. And I was thinking about that, and I was like, man, that worries me a bit. What if, because I mean, it can't be worth it to go, because I just shipped to California and then the guy takes it from there, right? I got to pay for everything, but I just sent it to him. From there, they actually remove your animal. Sometimes they repackage it, sometimes they care for it. And how many things are they touching before they touch your animal? And so that kind of worried me a little bit. I would assume they'd have some sort of a safety set in place because they know reptiles,
Oh,
but I have
dude,
no
yeah.
idea.
Trust me. When I went through that whole process, I probably annoyed Sander to the point where he would just bark at me. Like it got to the point where I would ask him so many questions, he'd be like, "Bro, I've been doing this for 30 years. Trust me, I got this." You get me? Like I got to that point. So
No, I
I've
get
never
it.
lost an
Very
animal with
processed.
Sander. I'll tell you that. So
yeah, so he's all right, and I think he's even got to the point now where I don't have to deal with a middleman. I think now he's got it set up to the point where now I could get it straight from DDI. So that's
yeah,
even better.
yeah. How many imports have you done in the last 3 years? Would you say?
Well, I did 2 imports. I started off just to test it out. I started off with getting just one Joker from Matt, and I kind of should have just got more geckos because it was so expensive. It kind of just like I don't know why I just
You
got
know, I got
one.
to show off what you brought in from me, right? This one actually was bred by my son Alec. He's our bold tangerine guy. I swear, like I'm working on a project right now that's my own that's looking really cool, but I don't know if you named this one or what, but man, he looks way better than when we sent him to you. I can tell you that. He looked good then too, but
Yeah, it's dope.
yeah.
What is it?
No, I just realized the animal that we sent him, I believe, is a bull tangerine. It has Bengal line in it. So I just realized that Peter can't see the screen, so that makes sense that he's not commenting.
That's funny.
Yep. And I had to ship 3 animals. Two were all 3 from two. One was from me and 2 were from Matt, right?
So what?
I think we lost him. He's got the little
Oh,
ring
okay.
here
Gotcha.
going on.
Yeah.
Oh, so
Have you ever done any international stuff, Reese?
I got one in from Dragoon Geckos, and that was a process itself. But I haven't shipped anything out. I just received. But it did
Everybody
take
says
about
that.
2 weeks.
She didn't. So with Sander, they don't send you a tracking number, right?
Bro, yes,
On
I just
Snow, there's
opened my
a
door and
FedEx.
it was on the porch. I was like, "What the hell?"
Yeah, and that's why, like, when I ship in the States and people are like, "Oh man, the animal got lost in Memphis."
Am I back?
Yeah,
You're
you're back.
back.
Oh, I can
Okay.
hear you.
So the animal, they'll say the animal got lost in Memphis, right? And I'm like, all right. Um, so they freak out and they're like, "Oh, it's gonna die, it's gonna die." And I'm sitting back thinking, should I stress about this? And I'm like, when you ship international, it's like a 5 to almost 12-day process, and the animals show up fine. So I
Mhm.
don't know if it's like because it's constant in the box and they don't change anything out, everybody's really worried about it. I've had a couple of just from shipping in the States, a couple of tail drops with an overnight, no delays. Um,
Oh man,
and then
I've
I've
had
had people get real apologetic about that, and I'm like, why are you apologizing? You can't. I can imagine the animal was in the dark, and it's not really your fault,
mhm.
Unless you're ripping tails off and throwing it in there and then shipping it to me, then we got a problem.
Yeah, so I kind of want to backtrack if that's cool.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, so like, when were you saying? So you're saying how many animals did I import initially?
Yep.
Yeah. So initially, I did just the Joker at first to test it out, and then after that, I contacted you because I wanted obviously the bangle. So then the bangle cross. So then I hit you up, and then I also hit Matt up because I needed a male. So I
Yeah,
did the Matt. I got a Joker and then an Atomic, and then I got your bangle. And
yeah,
then that's it so far. So it's just those 4 animals. But the funny story about the bangle was that while all that was going on, I kind of had like some money issues, and I couldn't pay for the bangle. So my partner,
yeah,
Chris, CNM Reptiles, he's in the chat. He's a good guy. He's like the guy I do everything with. I was telling him my situation, and he was like, "Dude, I got you. I'll take over. I'll pay for the bangle. You know what I mean? And then we'll just keep the thing going. All right, perfect. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
then the bangle came in. The minute the bangle came in, instant regret. You know what I mean? Because the bangle I don't know why, but it instant shined. It shined over everything. You know what I mean? So I was like, fuck. I was like, oh man. I was like, all right, whatever. I'll get to breed it. You know what I mean? I'll breed it. So then I used to got to breed it, and then after I'd go to his house and I'd look at it, and I'm like, I can't, bro. Like, it needs to come back to me. So then I'm like, dude, I ended up having a Black Knight that I wasn't so crazy about. It's like, for me, the Black Knights are one of those things that I strive to get. And then once I had it, it was kind of like, okay, I have it. You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
didn't think it was like anything special. So then I was like, all right, whatever. So then I told Chris, I go, Chris, bro, I'll trade you this Black Knight for the bangle. And then it was like another gecko. I think it was another gecko, and then some babies. You know what I mean? Like, and some babies from whatever he's gonna have. Because I had to have it, bro. That gecko was amazing. And now he's gone to like 5 different females. I don't breed. I don't go heavy. I only did. I think I was talking to Reese. I only did about 18 pairings, but out of those 18, like 3 didn't take. So if anything,
Did
that's
you
kind
try
of
to repair them?
over ambitious for me because I don't have that much space.
Did you
Reese,
try to,
what was your question, Reese?
did you try to repair them if since they didn't take or like they didn't pair at all?
Because the thing is, I'm trying to control numbers, so I'm not repairing at all. So
No.
if if I saw locks and they paired, and then I didn't get eggs from them, it is what it is. I'm not trying to like. I'm not out
I
there
got
to like try to stress. First of all, to stress the females out. I don't want to stress the females out. And then two, like, it's just the name of the game. If I got excited and I overpaired and a female duds out, it's a good thing for me. You know what I mean? Because I don't have babies to like I have to worry about. But I also this might be controversial. what I also do is that I had certain animals that I was testing out their babies. So I wasn't very positive about the genetics on a certain pairing that I did. And what I wanted to do, instead of testing the female out, that would take too long, I paired the female, and then I produced only 2 eggs to be male, so that the males I could test out, because it's much easier to test males. And if the males come out clean, I'll use those males, and if they don't, then I just pet them out. But instead of having to produce a bunch of babies, I only produced those 2 eggs, and everything else I just got rid of. I didn't keep any of the eggs. I only kept the first clutch.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Did you cook them
I only cooked the first clutch. The other eggs didn't get used. I tossed them
for breakfast?
We
for
don't
breakfast.
condone that sort of behavior here at Geckoverse podcast.
What, eating eggs?
We are.
Scrambled.
Yeah, I prefer byproduct of a hen's menstrual cycle than
Huevos frito.
That actually leads me to the next thing that I wanted to bring up, and this is just to kind of get an idea of like your guys' different processes for when you get animals in and quarantine. So everybody know what I'm talking about when I say quarantine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, what kind of a process and timeline do you guys do with your quarantine for your animals?
Who wants to go first?
Go ahead, Peter.
Me? Okay,
Yeah.
well, okay, so I work out of a garage, so I'm very limited on what I could do. But what I do is I have my setup laid out in a way where I have a rack that's kind of secluded in a way, and on the side, and then it depends on the situation. If I know like, for example, if I'm getting animals from Chris, my partner, CNM Reptiles, I know how he keeps his animals. I know how the animals are. I don't quarantine because I already know the situation. But like, for example, with the imports, when the imports came in, I would have them on that rack on the side and keep them there for at least 2 months. I mainly want to look at the poops. I know it sounds stupid, but what I mainly want to do is see them eat. Once they're eating, is see their poops. Are their poops coming out like mushy? Are they smelly? Are they coming out firm? Are they coming out like solid? And once I see that they're nice and solid and they're good and it's consistent, they go back thrown into everything else. If they're not, then you have to get either dewormer or if it's usually dewormer solves it after anything else. So from there, that's it. That's my regimen. I do at least 2 months, and that's pushing it for me sometimes. But I normally don't do. I don't really get any more. If anything, I've let go of a lot of animals because I just was very questioned. I was questionable about. Okay. Well, okay. I saw a lot of issues. In my first 2 seasons here, with the babies that I was getting over here, I felt the gene pool was too close. That everybody was working with the same animals, so you were noticing that even though I would get, let's say, 2 different lines from 2 different breeders, they would all source from the same breeder at the end of the day, and they would be multiplying with still siblings, and it'd be like too much inbreeding, and I would be getting defects like sunken heads or a lot of kink tails or short stubby tails or short snouts, and whatever produced that got wiped out. Not wiped out, but got petted out. Should be better put.
I got you. Reese, what about you, man? What kind of a process do you follow when you do it?
Pretty much kind of the same. I mean, I'm not too heavy, but yeah, I know the people I get it from personally and kind of know what they got going on. So I just do that. And then like with Rebecca's, when I got the ghost, I kind of did the same thing. The rack to the side, kind of away, spaced out because I don't have that much room. I just work in my house. So I had it over here, just left her there for a little while, check on her, make sure her health is good, poops are good, stuff like that, make sure they're eating. And then pop her back in over here on the side with the rest of the adults. But pretty much the same thing. Just kind of put them to the side and then make sure you know who you're getting from and kind of ease that stress a little bit about it.
Yeah, I would agree too. I would say I don't know. Like I used to not keep them in a different room, but now I feel like it's necessary to do that as they income. They come in. And this may sound ignorant. If it does, anybody can go ahead and reach out to me later. But I don't feel like if there's the bad word, what is it, crypto? It could be in there. I don't feel like it's flying out of the tub and then just I'm gonna fly to the next one across the room on that wall way over there.
And the gecko coughs.
Yeah. So for me, I know how crypto is transferred. So obviously the animals are never going to interact, and my hands are not going to interact on one wall when they're interacting on the other wall. And if I'm doing that wrong, anybody feel free to reach out and say, hey, I think that could be bad. Not a
But the
problem.
good thing about that is when you start looking at different species of animals, you can start looking at their regiments of quarantine. Like for example, if we're looking at like chondros, like that was another species of animals that I got into that I liked because they're so into like everything. Every step of how they do things is very important because those animals are very finicky and they could cause a lot of issues like with eating or whatnot. So like for example, with like every animal for them, like they would have their own like tongue and they would have their own like feeding. They don't do any cross contamination or anything whatsoever like that at all because there's like was it it's crypto and there's another one that would wipe out their entire colony. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like they're very very picky on how they go about the regiments. They don't use the same tongues on the same animals. They don't use the same feeding source. I'm like if you use a rat and that snake doesn't eat that rat's done. You know what I mean? You're not using that rat to feed another animal. You know what I mean? Like they don't
Yeah.
like whenever they're washing certain things, they make sure it's completely sanitary and all that stuff. So I think learning about other species really helps you out on how to keep certain animals and it gives you perspective. You know what I mean? Because we only know leopard geckos, so we only like do what everyone else has said. And leopard geckos are pretty hardy. They're hardy animals in general, so
Yeah.
they could take abuse pretty bad. But if you're learning about animals that are very sensitive and that anything could throw them off, like a slight degree weather change or something could completely make them go off feed for a long time or anything like that. Nido's the one that messes up with
Yeah.
chondros. So I feel it's very important that in the hobby we need to also just step out of our comfort zone and look at animals that we aren't keeping just for
Mhm.
education purposes and
Yeah.
find out like how they
Learn in the
keep things.
process.
Yeah.
Maybe,
No,
but
it's not. I agree.
yeah,
Yeah. I was doing a 3-month thing, which is, I think that's right around what you guys said, right? 60 days, 90 days. Is that 3 months? I actually was talking to Scarborough on the phone like a week ago, and he was telling me of just some horror stories here and there that I won't, they're not my business. I won't bring it up, but
Mhm.
just little things because he's been doing this a really long time, and I know he's been. I don't know how long. I know that he's been doing geckos only. Like he doesn't have a different work. He said for 14 seasons. So he says that he'll do a whole year. Like he's like, I don't trust anything, and he didn't bring much in anyway.
who was
But
Yeah.
when
that
he
again? I'm sorry.
puts something in, he keeps it somewhere else for an entire year, and that's
He's talking about Gecko Boa.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Gecko Boa, John Scarborough. But yeah, an entire year. And I'm not saying like that's a standard, but it's his standard, and I thought that was pretty interesting to hear.
No, but that's something again. Like that's with the chondros as well. Like there's a lot of people that are keep chondros would do that as well. That they're like, I get an animal in, it's in a whole different room. It doesn't even see. There's certain people that even when they receive the animals in, those animals don't go into the facility. The babies go into the facility. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So they receive those animals. They stay in quarantine. Whenever they breed, those babies go into the collection, and then so on and so forth.
yeah.
Like
Uh, I do have a question actually for everybody on the screen. If you don't know the answer to it, then you're just like me. But if there's anybody in the comments that does know the answer to it and they want to throw something in there, I have heard, and this is something I have heard. It's not something I made up or think I know the answer to, but the babies and the eggs. If even if parents or mom whatever has crypto, the egg does not, and the baby does not. That's what I have heard. I wanted to know if anybody has any actual expertise or insight with that. So if you ended up having to figure out something with your vet, you found out the animal has crypto, you have to call the mom. Do you have to get rid of the eggs and everything that egg touched, every tray, everything? If anybody does know something like that in the chat, let me know.
I
Or
don't. For sure, I don't. I think
okay,
Bubba might know because I talked to Bubba about that. He sent me a lot of like good references for pinworms and like you said, fecal testing and even like cheaper
yeah.
to do it for yourself. So he might know about that, but yeah, I have not experienced that yet or know anything about
Yeah.
that.
We
Actually,
call
Bubba
it
just
typically live birth. Yeah. Sorry.
yeah, no, that's exactly what I was thinking. Live birth would be one of the ways that would pass from parent
mm,
down. The egg would protect it, but um, yeah, I've heard that. I don't. It's not something I'm the expert on, but I just if anybody ever sees this later on and they see me say this and you have any expertise on it whatsoever, like reach out to me and let me know because I'll make a whole video about it based off of research I do and what you tell me. Peter, do you know anything about that?
No, not at all. But I've heard
Okay.
also, again, not to like keep going back to the chondro stuff, but I've heard that as well. Like if there's chondros that have crypto, whatever, they could also produce animals that don't have crypto or show negative on it.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Now, something Bubba had said in the comment about doing the fecal testing, I would be interested in knowing how to do that on your own because I'm extra. Joe knows this. Uh,
You have a medical background, so you'd actually
I
probably.
mean, he sent me the link for it. I could send it to you after the show. But I mean, reach out to him for sure and ask him as well.
just as a prophylactic thing, because I mean, that's what I do with the deworming. I just dewormed everybody. So shut up, Joe. But just to kind of,
Why don't you tell us the process of deworming?
no, we're not going to
Actually, people have been asking me weeks on that one, Jen too. But let's see. So what we're doing is we're deworming right now. Jen's doing a completely different thing that I'm doing, and we're seeing what works best and how it goes. And it's not
Thank
done
you,
yet.
Bubba.
So that's why we haven't made the video. It's not because we don't want to. Simple start and learn. That's awesome. All right, Bubba's gonna send the links to.
Yep.
So time differences, climate differences, breeder differences. I wanted to ask Peter a couple of UK questions. You ready, man?
All right, let's go.
All right. So you obviously you said what part of Florida? Remind me. You say Miami.
Miami, Florida.
All right, and then
And we're all from
Mitch.
Florida. Okay.
So
Dirty Dave.
when you speak, you do speak very quickly, and I know that the English do not. So I was wondering if that's something that you go through out there, where they tell you talk real fast.
Okay, that's the Cuban in me. You get me? Because we ramble. So I get a lot. First of all, just because I'm in England and they speak English doesn't mean we speak the same language. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like these
Yeah.
fools have their own like words for stuff and like they talk in a whole different. When I first met my wife and we were talking, she was telling me basic stuff, but it's just the words they use are just different and they don't make sense. So for me, it'll just be like I'd be very confused. But I get that a lot. I get that a lot that I speak too fast and they're like, "What? What are you saying? What?" Or I get that I'm Canadian a lot. People think I'm Canadian. Or every now and then I get that I'm Irish.
Bro, I get that I'm Polish. People be asking me if I'm Polish all the time. So
It
weird.
makes sense.
kind of do look it though. Yeah, it does make sense.
Yeah.
But also, it's like when I get excited, I start rambling. You get me? I'll just start at like mile a minute. If I try to slow down and think, that's when I start messing up. If I like slow down, like all right, let me just try to slow down and talk and like be proper. I'll stumble. But if I just start rambling, like blah, 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 that's when I feel like I come across better.
Yeah.
So
Now
inner Cuban.
I'm actually half Mexican and I'm bilingual.
Orale,
But
vato.
I speak Mexican Spanish, which is very different from Spaniard Spanish or Cuban Spanish or
Correct,
even
which is
Dominican. The biggest influence I had that was different than mine was in the Dominican Republic when I was mining. This is around the time that I had to get rid of my first clutch of animals I had in the early 2010, 11, and 12 time period. I remember they were like, oh, well, Joe's bilingual. We're going to send him over there and he's going to be our translator. And when I got there, I was completely useless. It was like we were speaking the same language, but you can't understand each other.
exactly,
And they could understand me, but they kept telling me I talk slow. So it's like they said that I over enunciate, like I was trying to act wealthy or something. And I'm like, I barely understood you insult me just now. So
it's funny because the thing is that I don't want to like say something and be misspoken, but Cubans supposedly have the worst Spanish. You know what I mean? It's all slang. So if anything, when me living over here, if I meet a Spaniard and I talk to them, they're like, "What the hell are you saying?" You know what I mean? Like it's all gibberish. It's all street slang. You know? So like, if I could understand them, you know what I mean? But when I speak to them, they're just like, what country are you from? Like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah. In the Dominican, they told me I need to speed up or I'm not talking quick enough. And I said, that's fine. Let's go into the bathroom and we'll deflate your tongue because it's like you injected it with liquid and now you're trying to talk fast, So we used to pick on each other at the mine site back and forth. There was a guy there named Zacharias. Okay. His name, here's the funniest thing. It was a year and a half. I'm working next to this man and we're trying to communicate with each other. And we made up our own sign language after a while, even though we're both trying to speak Spanish to each other. And even his name, until he came up one day with like a name badge on, and it said Zacharias on it. I didn't know his name. I asked him when I first met him, a year and a half prior to this happening, 7 or 8 times, like, "Hey man, slow down. What is your name?" And when he would say it, he had a real deep voice, and it was my name, me llamo Jacario. And I was like, "Huh? That wasn't even a word. You didn't say that was a whole sentence, but it didn't even sound like one whole word." And so he would laugh and whatever. But yeah, man, it's a very different thing. So you go through that out there. Do you do shows? When you do them, do you have trouble communicating, or is it all good?
No, so if anything, it's a gimmick. I'm a gimmick, dude. I'm a giant gimmick. You get me? So when I go to the show, it's the American guy. So I play it off to that. You know what I mean? I'm loud. I'm obnoxious. You know what I mean? And then I bring people to the table and I just talk to them. And that's why I like shows, because I like that show. I like that whole energy of like of buzzing, and I feel like I'm at a stock market. I'm like, hey, come over, everybody, come over. You know what I mean? I'm just shouting at people. And because I normally go to shows with my partner, like I told you, C&M Reptiles, and he's more to himself. He's very timid. He's to himself, but he's got snakes. So people come to his table. And then I'm the one that's kind of more talking to the people, getting them going, just trying to get them to stay at the table. You know what I mean? Because obviously, when you know at a show, the longer they're at your table, the more chances they're going to leave with something. You know what I mean? If you get people that come, say hi, and then leave.
Not always.
Go away.
Not always.
Well, not always, but the odds are with you. You know what I mean? The odds are that if people are there on your table, at a certain point, you're going to build a relationship with somebody and they're going to want to leave. Because that's the whole point with the show. The whole point of the show is that you talk to the breeders that you're potentially wanting to buy from. You build a connection. If you build a strong enough connection, they're going to go home with something. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
But there's just not enough shows.
Your partner from C&M, what is his actual name? Sorry.
Chris.
His name is Chris.
His son, yeah.
Okay.
It's my dog, 305.
And he's English, I'm assuming?
Yes, he's born and raised in England, yeah.
Okay,
he's in Huddersfield. If any
he's a real mate.
Yeah, he's a real mate. He's a bloke, as they say.
He's a bloke.
He's a bloke. I thought that was an Australian thing, man. But
I thought bloke was a bad thing. I thought when you call someone a bloke, it was kind of an insult. And someone called me a bloke, and I was about to fight him, and they go, "Nah, bro, I'm just saying you're a dude." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
That's so funny, bro.
He's like his hands guarding his face, going, "I meant friend. Sorry."
I was like, "What? Well, like what bloke?" And like,
don't say bloke.
And he looked at me like I was stupid. Like, what are you talking about? He's calling you a dude.
Proper Yorkshire.
I thought it was like an insult.
All right, so Riys, I know that you actually work with reptiles for a living, in a sense. I wanted to ask you specific questions about that because I've been kind of curious, and I've been keeping it because I wanted to, have it be a fresh answer on here. But now you entertain with reptiles, which means you don't just keep leopard geckos. You keep how many different species?
I mean, I keep more than what I bring to the shows, but I bring about 10 different species to the show.
And that's what you keep at your house? More than 10 species of it? Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of a setup do you have that you transport these? And then obviously Jen's probably got a question or two.
No, she's seen everybody has a nice proper setup and space. But when I transport to shows, I keep them, in like bigger containers and stuff like that. I keep them blacked out with holes so the kids can't see them, and that way it's a mystery every time something comes out. But
really?
Everybody has like a appropriate size, container from like Home Depot or Walmart or something like that. Mostly the snakes have lid locks, because got some big snakes. One time I was driving and my Burmese was in the back window. One time just looking, I was like, "Oh my God, I need to pull over." So after that, lid locks on all the snakes for sure. And then, but yeah, I bring a leopard gecko, a Russian tortoise, redfoot tortoise, a big sulcata tortoise. I bring a ball python, a red-tailed boa, now a reticulated python. We used to do Burmese python, but with the laws changing, we can't bring those now. So that I have a big blue iguana that I bring, and then a yellow uromastic and a leopard gecko.
Okay. Yellow, that's the Nigerian one,
and
right?
A bearded dragon.
Okay. The yellow uromastics, the yellow and the red, those are both Nigerian? Is that?
I believe so.
Yeah, the Euros are the other thing I know a little bit more about, kind of like Leos, but I have 2 of those right now.
I feel like it's such an advantage for Riys, though, like him being able to do those shows and keeping all those animals. I feel like it gives him an upper edge, you get me? Because one, he's doing the shows very often, so he's communicating with people, and he's very charismatic, obviously. If you speak to Riys, he's very charismatic. You get me? And then two, like him being with all those different species of animals, he has to know their husbandry. You know what I mean? Like, and obviously, if he's keeping them for a long time, they're not dying. He's doing it right. So just having like
Right.
perspective on different husbandries, you know how to be a little bit more open minded and how to do things out of the box. I mean, like I feel like a lot of people are stuck in the box doing things the very same way, where
Yeah.
we're learning still very much a lot on what's going on, and being more knowledgeable in different species lets you be more open to try new things.
I'm going to be trying the new hatchling setup. For me, it's going to be new. You guys have been doing it for a while. I definitely want to try it out your way. I obviously, because I'm meticulous, I think I'm going to put some sort of a way that my phone or something, some sort of a color clip or whatever, tells me how old an animal is. I think I'll have like 4 clips, and I'll put like 1 clip per week. And then for
So
week
back,
2, if you're born in that week, you get that color. So if you're in the wrong color week or something like that, then it's time to feed you. But
I mean, if you want to color coordinate it, but back when my mic was messing up and everything, I don't know if you had heard me. I was saying just a dry erase marker and just write on the tub in like 3 days, 4 days, so that way you just can visually see like 4 days.
little tick marks.
Yeah,
That's a good
see,
idea.
I do, yeah, little tally marks and stuff like that too, and whatever.
Oh,
So
another trick, by the way,
marker.
if you don't want to use a dry erase marker, because sometimes I use dry erase markers, but I don't like how faint they are. I like the ink to be very like bold, so I'll use a
Yeah.
Sharpie. But what I'll do is that to remove the Sharpie, I'll get the dry erase marker and I'll rub over the Sharpie, and then it erases it, and then I rub it off like that.
My
That works really
6-year-old
good.
taught me that trick.
I
Yeah,
never knew that.
once I learned that, that was like a bubble that popped. Like what?
That's
I can
crazy.
do
I,
that?
I use those magic erasers. Those work really great too.
There you
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I remember
just
one time.
tape and Sharpie.
Yeah,
If I'm
I
gonna
work
Sharpie,
now.
I just
This
do
year I'm
tape.
doing tape. This year I'm doing
I'm with
the
you, Reed.
painter's tape, but I
Yeah,
like
you just
initially
take it
writing
right
on
off.
the
You
tub.
don't have
Yeah.
to clean anything off the tub. The only thing I put on the tub is the dry erase marker.
That's cool. Yeah, with those when those magic erasers came out, and I saw what they did and how well they worked, and I thought it was insane. I remember writing my wife when she was my girlfriend. I wrote her on her mom's counter in the kitchen. I wrote her a little note in a Sharpie, and it said something kind of sweet on it. And I left, and she was there all day trying to clean it. And so when I got home, it was like, hey, I know you wanted to be sweet and whatever, but this won't ever come out. We ruined my mom's counters. Now I've been doing the elbow grease thing all day, and so I feel you on that one. I know what you mean, but I did not know you can rub a dry erase marker over Sharpie on plastic.
Neither.
And it'll take it right out. Yep, take it right out.
That's
I learned that
insane.
from a podcast actually, because I would do that. So the first season I would write the Sharpie on the actual tubs, and then after the end of the year I'd be like what you said, scrubbing my freaking, like every tub
Yeah.
took like 20 minutes to scrub off to get the but you'd still
And
see
now
it
they're all
faintly behind it.
scratched.
Exactly. So then what I'd do is that I saw in a podcast, I think it was I don't even want to say where it was from. I don't want to butcher it, but what I did is they said it, and I tried it right away. Like right away, I got the Sharpie, I put it on a tub, and then I waited for it to dry, and I got a dry erase marker, and I put it right over and wiped it off. And I was like, that's it. That's what I'm doing from now on. This year, I did the painter's tape. I'm doing painter's tape just so I could transfer everything over. But what I'm noticing is that with the thinner strips, the thinner strips of painter's tape, the adhesive comes off faster. So I got a wider painter's tape, and hopefully that sticks better.
You're saying this one right here?
That for me, that one comes off too easy. The adhesive comes off.
Oh, you mean like it just unpeels itself?
It peels itself off, correct.
Yeah,
but the wider one, I think I have a 4-inch
I don't
one.
see any residue on there, but that's
No, it doesn't leave residue. It just comes undone.
Yeah, I got you now.
I was gonna try to do it right here because I got plastic in my hand, but it ain't working.
No, your background's mushing up with it.
Yeah. Are you able to see us?
I see you guys. You just don't see me. I'm
watching.
lingering in the shadows.
Yeah, he's watching on another device, he said.
Okay,
Yeah. So you see there, I'm writing on this.
Was that a hockey puck?
No, it's actually one of those. This thing will save your back right here, bro. If you want to move racks or whatever, you just put this underneath it. It's got a rubber piece right here to hold on to the bottom, and you could push it across the floor really easy on your own.
Okay.
Like what Bubba said, I think he said that you could use. I think you use those, right? Don't you, Joe? Those whiteboard
Yeah,
strips?
the whiteboard stickers.
Yeah, see, I thought about those. I
Dry
haven't
eraser.
used them.
I
The
do.
thing is that I can't get excited about any of that shit because they don't have it here. So I'll get mad excited about it. Be like, oh, I could get those whiteboard stickers. I'll look on Amazon. Nope, not in the UK.
Not today.
All right, So now we're doing. The dry erase marker is almost erasing it.
Yeah.
It's not even you have to wipe it off after. It's actually the
You just
eraser
have to wipe
itself.
off the. You just have to wipe off the magic marker after it. Yeah, that's
So
all you're
weird,
doing.
like it cancels it out or something. That's crazy.
It's because
So
the magic markers have alcohol in the actual magic markers. You get me? So like that's how you're able to erase itself. It never fully dries. I don't know if you ever noticed, but if you ever use a magic marker and left it on for a long time, then it's a little bit harder to take off. You
Yeah,
get
Yeah,
me?
if it goes
I'll
through like
use
a heat and cold season.
yeah, but like if you're just like while it's still wet, the alcohol is still active, so it just wipes it off really easily. Again, I'm not a scientist. Maybe I'm
so I
butchering it
use
completely.
no, I used a permanent marker on an accident, and Bree says, "Mom, hold on." Which you two, Peter, you don't know Bree. She's my 16-year-old daughter, but you guys have met her. She's like, "Wait, Mom, I'll show you what you got to do." And that's how I learned. As she showed me, I'm like, "How in the hell did you even know
but
how to
she
do
learned
that?"
from TikTok.
Huh?
I bet she learned it from TikTok.
Reese,
Oh, she doesn't use TikTok. Actually, I'm a little strict on social media, so she's on
Good,
Instagram because she has African fat tails now.
good,
But
good.
that's it.
Reese,
So
so I got a question for you because Joe hasn't done a show yet. So what was it when you went to a show that was the scary thing for you? Like what was the one thing that you were scared to do? I didn't mean to put you out there, Joe. I'm sorry, not like that.
you're never gonna live it down,
I didn't
Joe.
mean to put you
Do
down.
a
You
show.
mentioned it a lot, so I just wanted to
Yeah,
say.
he's a scaredy cat for sure. That's all right. He's gonna get in there one day. I don't know, bro. I mean, I've always been doing entertainment my whole life, so being in a crowd and talking to people really isn't a bother. Jen, she's been with me at the last show. She can attest to it. I have no cares. I'd be yelling across the room. I'd be dancing. I'd be calling people out. I make jokes. I do not care. So I didn't really have a problem with that. I just wanted to make sure my setup was professional. So maybe I was worried about presentation, but that's pretty much it. Other than that,
He's not kidding either about the dancing. My daughter took video of him break dancing on the stage.
Oh
So
my
if
god.
anybody wants to see it, just let me know. I'll send it your way. Reese says, nope.
If you had to tell a new breeder, like someone not of experience, because I want to say Joe because Joe actually has
okay,
experience. You get me? So it's just I
yeah.
think for Joe, it's just actually pulling the trigger and just going to a show. But if
hmm
you had someone that like hasn't maybe their second year breeding and they're like, yo, I want to do a show. Like, what would be your warnings? Like, yo, try not to do this, be more like this, or like, what would be your
I
advice to them?
mean, the basic stuff that I hear a lot of people: don't sit down, don't be on your phone. Make sure you're engaging. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if they don't want to buy anything, I would say hello to every single person that walks past the table. If you literally step within the range of my table, hello, how are you today? And I will just make sure I talk to you. So just making sure you're engaged for sure. And then wear some good shoes because you're gonna be standing all day, and your feet are gonna hurt. You know.
I would say also come with a partner so you could go to the
That too.
bathroom.
That too. That's why I told Jen to come with me. I'm usually by myself, or you know what I'm saying. So I'll try to find somebody to come with me. But yeah, having somebody there definitely helps. You know what I mean. So you can go to the bathroom, do what you got to do. Maybe you want to check out another table, take a break. But definitely helps. Or you're talking to somebody and now you got people waiting. So now it's like somebody else can engage with them for a second. But yeah, definitely bring a partner. Try to make sure your setup is good and just be engaging. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
Also know what you're talking about, because you can do all that stuff too, and then go talk to somebody. You can tell, oh, they don't even know what the hell they're talking about. So then I don't even want to engage really. So I'm going to move on. So making sure you do know what you're talking about is another thing I would say. You know what I mean? When you're at the shows.
At the same time, though, if I have a setup that's not up to par, you know what I mean? Like I don't have an acrylic display, and I don't have
Mhm.
that shouldn't be a deterrent. You know what I mean? Like don't
No,
feel
not at all.
that just because you don't have a full on display that you should not go to a show or feel like that you're not good enough to be
No.
at a show. I feel like just going to a show in general is something that it might spark a fire under people because to be honest for me that's one of the things I like about is the hobby is the show. I like going to the shows and I like being able to like interact and
That's what
talk
I'm also. Yeah,
and involve and
just meeting
and
people.
see your customers and all that and you don't do that online but you have a lot of people that you are working with in the hobby that are just scared to go to a show and a lot of their fears are things that aren't big at all that are really small things that after the first show you get them out the way and then it's not a big deal.
I wouldn't say that I'm afraid to go to the show. I just, man, as many times as I can make the same excuse, I don't have time. I want to make the time though. I go to the shows, and I have to be able to get in and get out when I can. We just went to the The one right here in Phoenix, it's in Mesa actually, but it's called the Phoenix Reptile Expo. And I spent Sunday there. I couldn't get there on Saturday. I missed Vinny. I was going to meet up with him, and but I ended up going Sunday. That's when Thomas could get here from Tucson, so he went. Clint, actually, he's in the comments too. He's a good buddy of mine.
Clinty boy.
For when I do shows, he's creating me an entire line of wild card jewelry that he makes, and we're going to be featuring his stuff on our table. I'm getting set up. I have lights, tables, cloths. I
got you, D's.
I'm constantly working and constantly making excuses. I don't have the time to do it. It's kind of crazy, but I'm going to make the time to do it because everybody else is doing it all around me, and I want to get it done. So,
I mean, it's just fun. Get a couple under your belt. You don't got to do them every day of your life, every year. I mean, I did 5 my first year. That was last year, and then I did 3 this year, and my license is about to expire in June. And I don't
that's
think
another thing. I don't even know if I need a license or any
Apparently,
sort of.
I talked to Thomas, and you guys don't out there, but I'm
Okay.
also not 100% sure. Out here, you definitely do. In North
Florida,
Carolina,
you did too.
Florida, you do. So I don't understand why the West Coast you wouldn't.
Yeah, and it's a little harder to get in the Phoenix. They said for leopard geckos, there's 5 people ahead of me if I were to get on now and get on a waiting list. And I'm like, I didn't see a single leopard gecko guy at the Phoenix Reptile Show. There were a couple on somebody's table, but that's about it. Let's see. Yeah, actually, Bubba,
license here.
That's the difference about the UK, though. In the UK, you can't be a business. So you cannot be going to a show representing yourself at all. So you're not showing any logos. You're not showing any stickers. You're not showing any business cards. You're not showing anything. You're strictly just selling your surplus. So if you get caught selling geckos with labels on your stickers or labels on anything, you could actually get fined and get charged as a business.
So you can't say PM Geckos and none of that?
What I normally do is that when I sell my animals at a show, I'll give them a bag, and in the bag there's stickers and business cards. But I do not have it on top of my situation at all. There's a new show that I just, like I was talking about earlier, that they're making, and they're allowing you to advertise yourself. But it's kind of sketchy because at the end of the day, if someone comes in and snitches on everybody, you know what I mean? Like, you're screwed. You know what I mean? So
I gotcha.
It's so ass backwards here. You have to pay taxes on it and everything. So
yeah, over here it's only like 40. It's only like 40 quid a table, and then you could just go in and sell. You know what I mean?
Peter, can you get away with a QR code?
Yes, that's what I do on my business cards.
Okay. Let's say instead of doing it, you can just have can't you just display a QR code? I mean,
no, I wouldn't display it. What I do is I just hand them a business card, and then I just tell them, like, if you scan that either takes it to my Morph Market or it takes it to my Instagram. Yeah. Or you do it the gangster way, and you come mad early and you start labeling up all the cars with your business cards, and you just start like putting all your cards
on your hand, say scan this real quick, and then bring it on back down. You know, be like, all right, now be gone. Like, go.
You want to buy this gecko? Go down to that corner, put the money down, then go to that table and pick it up.
You're like, read this password. You know.
So Riys already spoke about how he's got the glacier, but Joe, what do you got going on?
Oh, put you on the spot. Let's go.
I know. Actually, too. So
mysterious.
I've got a couple of years into this too, and then it kind of took a world of its own last year when my son came out of nowhere, out of left field, with 2 random animals that he just said this is going to work out, and it was neat that it did. But we've been working on a bull tangerine project for a couple of years now, and it's starting to see like what we're interested in looking at. I feel like it's a year off from line breeding, actually, so we'll see. But
sorry. So Bubba said that he'll tattoo your QR code, Pete, so you can flash people and stay under the radar.
Let's do it. I'll put it on my pinky, so they're just like real casual.
Right.
You're gonna have to walk around then with your pinky up, and people are gonna stare at you funny out there.
It's all right. I'm full of tattoos anyway, so it'll blend in.
Nice.
There you go. Sounds like a good idea.
You know that's got to be a tramp stamp, right?
I'll put it on my lower back. Yeah, I'm like, every time someone's walking by, just bend over, like, scan my bag.
All right. But yeah, no, we're working on a bull tangerine project. Samantha does all of our photography over here, and I was gonna pull it up. I don't know. I'm kind of apprehensive to talk about it, but we have a really neat thing going on, and we're starting to see some really neat animals. Probably pretty soon. I'm gonna release the project name. I just want to keep it to myself for now. I don't know. Something about it just makes me want to. Let's talk about substrate.
Oh,
Let's try this. So I don't know if you guys know what this is, but when it comes to like cocoa fiber and the stuff that they you put it in water and it inflates.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, man, that stuff's expensive for a tiny little brick of it, right? And then I got on the phone with John Scarborough, and he was like, "No, try this. It's called Cocoa Core." And so I'm going to plug these guys. They haven't paid me or nothing. Sorry,
you only
Hydrocrux.
can't see it because
Can't even see it.
But maybe if I try it.
your graphics eating it
You
up.
had it for a second.
So hold on. Look at my hand, though.
Put your hand in front of it.
Here, following the bottom of it, like
No, in front of it. Maybe
fine,
it'll work.
hang on.
Nope.
Dude, it's not working.
It's invisible, dude.
Oh,
Dude, it's not working.
Crazy.
It's invisible, dude.
You're disappearing, Joe. Joe's disappearing with it.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
all right. So look how big.
Crunchy cocoa fiber.
Damn it!
Let's go.
Look how big this
Right
thing
there.
is.
Right there.
Dude, it looks like you're wrestling with a ghost.
That's like a, yeah. I'm like,
That's funny. Scary movie
no,
too.
this
Right
thing's
there.
huge. So he wasn't wrong, man. Look at my hand going all the way across the bottom of that. Like,
So
it's
what is
thick.
that? Is that Eco-Earth?
Yeah, no, this is cocoa core. It's cocoa fiber. It's a
Pretty much the same thing, though.
yeah, and basically, it comes in this gigantic block. This whole thing was $15, and it creates a lot more than what you buy when you get those 24-quart bags of stuff.
Damn, that's
But
cheap.
also, for people who want, to get more for their money, you can go and get different substrates as long as they're safe for animals. They don't have pesticides in them and things like that. And you can get big baking trays. I don't know if you want to smell your house up, but it's like 155 to 160 degrees for 30 minutes. I always am a little extra, so I'd say 45 minutes, and then you can go get it right out of the plant section at Home Depot.
Yep.
And you could bake your own shit if you want to. But this stuff right here, I'm going to be trying out next because for $15, I know that's going to produce.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
This bag right here is like $10.
Yeah, you're right. And
Yeah, but that brick he's got is probably going to create a heck of a lot more than what we
Yeah,
get in the
triple.
bag.
Yeah,
of
because
those
when I get one of those bricks only do like 4 or 5 hides for me, and that's it.
Well, this is big. Like he sent me a picture
Yeah.
of a 6-year-old holding it, and it's a big.
No, I can imagine the one that Joe has would probably do my whole setup.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I told him
you-
to let me know because I might switch to that.
So what I
They
will
probably
do,
don't have it
though-
in the UK, so I'm screwed again.
So speaking of substrate, bro. So is that how you keep your adults, Joe? Is on substrate? Or do
Yeah.
you keep them on paper towel?
What I will do is I will show you one of my.
Dude, I can't believe you wasted that whole time wrestling with a ghost when you could have just put the image right there.
Right?
I know,
Oh
I know.
my god!
like
bro.
So this is one of the more spectacular bold tangerines that we've kind of come up with. That's part of our project. This one right here, I'm not going to go into the exact genetics in there. I can tell you that I've had 1 or 2 people come back and say that's basically a Bengal. It actually does have some of that in there, but that would be almost 2 years back at this point, if I'm thinking of the correct animal. But reverse stripe is one of the main goals in everything that I'm doing. I prefer reverse stripe, and we're trying to separate some stuff. And you can see this animal here is 8 grams.
Which stripe?
Reverse stripe.
Okay.
So that's one of the goals, and we're not.
Yo, Reese is out here being the stripe police over here.
Yeah, I'm not falling for that one.
He knows what's up. He knows.
Yeah,
what's up.
he knows. He definitely knows.
He knows what's going on.
So that's one of them right there. And then we've got one that's going to go into it next year, and she's somewhere on here. But yeah, basically that's going to be one of them. And then looking at Peter's, you could see some of the animals that we were working at. We sent you. Let's see, one of the animals that is kind of in here, and that's this one. But what did we call this one, Peter? I don't remember. Was it?
I don't know. You sent me a name, but I don't look at names.
Yeah,
Sorry.
That's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
I feel you.
Yeah, I put identifiers on them. My daughter names them,
To be
and
honest, I have your old. I always keep the IDs, so I
yeah,
have the
Oh,
paper, but it's in the Gecko room. I would
I
have to
want
go
to
in there
call
and
him
get it.
Tuco. Is Tuco the
I think
name?
it was Tuco. I think now that
Yeah.
you're saying it, I think it is Tuco.
So this guy right here is, I won't say how, but he is directly related to my guy here. And so this is one generation away from him as a relative. And
okay.
it's coming along good. So I can only imagine what next year is going to look like. I could tell you that this animal is the one that I'm focused on the most. I'm going to watch every minute of its growth and see where it goes. But yeah, this one right
Yeah,
here is,
definitely. What I've noticed from that Bengal bull tangerine is that his genetic like his genetics are strong. Like whatever he passes on, you could definitely see the influence in the kids. Like every hatchling that's hatched from him, you could
yeah,
definitely see the correlation from the father. You know what I mean? Like normally you don't see it right away. Normally you kind of like just see a mixture of both, or maybe slight hints from one of the other.
Yeah,
But in the hatching so far, it's like the dad takes over a lot.
prominent. Okay,
yeah.
that's
And
pretty cool.
talking to Rudy actually a while back, he kind of gave me an idea of what was in the Bengals, and so I was really comfortable starting to work with them. That was a few years ago now, but yeah, there's basically it's everything bold tangerine, and then it's all being line bred. And I know there's like emerine in there from a while back, but yeah, his Bengals are fire. I love the reds in those. They're very different from what I have here, but I did use a really nice Bengal a few years back to get into this right here. So
Well, that's the importance of kind of knowing like line history. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
because if you know what makes that gecko, you know what's going to mesh with that gecko, or you know what you could add to the gecko that's going to enhance. Or, of course, it might
yeah.
not play out, but you have an idea.
Now with the one you got from me, what kind of plans do you have for your bolt tangerines?
So initially it was just gonna get thrown into the clown Joker stuff, but
Okay.
then having him
Nice.
and seeing him, it kind of maybe you just want to branch out and do. So I did do that. I did do a branch where it's branching off to the Joker clown stuff, and then I'm also doing it into white and yellow,
Okay.
and I'm doing it into bold. So I'm trying to see how it looks in bold. My partner Chris, he bred that male to a Zorro Bandit. I bred mine to two clown G projects, a white and yellow Tremper to kind of test it out for Tremper as well, because I know on the tag it said Pawsat Tremper, and then I bred it to something else, but I'm not sure. I think it was a bold cross just to
Okay.
see. I didn't think I'm gonna get anything. I don't think I'm gonna get anything from the bolds, just because I think with Tang and bold, you're gonna get wiped out. It's gonna wipe out, and you're probably just gonna get F1s that look kind of just like either one or the other, and it's be like probably F2 or three that I'll start seeing probably what the dad looks like again, hopefully.
Okay.
But but to be honest, I'm kind of starting all over again. So what I did was I kind of had to let go of a lot of animals. So like I told you, on my first 2 years, I was seeing a lot of problems, so that was the initial push to import, and with that import, kind of redirected my goals of what I wanted to do. Of course, it was still to work with the Clown G project stuff and Joker stuff, but it was also now trying to throw it into like white. I wasn't big on white and yellow till this year. Once I saw some of the crosses that Matt did with the white and yellow, I think I even hit him up about one of them specifically.
Love white and yellow.
That I
Yeah.
was it kind of just like took over in my thoughts. So I wanted to kind of just breed it to see what it would throw out in my end. You know what I mean? Of course, I'd probably end up wanting to get one, but I just want to see, of course, if you can make your own, it's always more rewarding.
Yeah,
So there's that. Yeah.
I do want to see those white and yellow babies though.
I also threw the Bengal to white and yellow too. So I threw the Joker to white and yellow and the Bengal to white and yellow. So I'm very curious to see how both
That's
of
what
those
I
are
want
going
to
to
see.
be. Yeah.
Those are gonna be fire though.
Hopefully.
Nah, they will. They will.
Yeah. Well, Reese, hopefully I answered your question. I don't want to. Yeah, I just I don't know. I'm not ready to throw out my name yet. Plus, I want to. I'm still looking around to make sure it's not taken.
No, I feel you. It's the same thing in breakdancing, bro. Like when you start a crew name or something, you gotta like, hey, is there any crews out here named that already? You know. And actually, I had a battle like that where our crew was called Flavor Junkies, and we got to a competition, and they were like Flavor Junkies and versus somebody else, and these other guys walked up to us and were like, "Who are you?" And they're like, "We're Flavor Junk." We're like, "Oh, you're not. We are. What are you talking about?" So then the judge got up. He's like, "That's it. Battle for the name right now. You guys go over there. You guys go over here. Let's go." And then we smoked them and won and kept our name. So it is funny. It's kind of the same. You got to seek out the names and see if somebody's else using it and stuff like that.
I have
So yeah,
mixed reviews about that though. I have mixed reviews about keeping products to yourself because at the same time, I feel like letting other people know what you're doing is good because of course they're gonna want to copy you, but then you
Yeah.
also have new blood to outcross. When it's time to outcross and you have someone else that's done the
yeah,
work as
that
well,
is true.
and you have to not see it as competition and see it as more as like, yo, we could work with each other. You know what I mean? But of
No,
course, when it
that
comes
is
to
true.
money, it's never
It's
gonna
a
happen.
balance of both
You know what I
sides.
mean?
It's a balance of both. Because I was like that too. I wanted to keep my project to myself, but I started catching hints of other
Because to be
people
honest, I think that's how it
having
happened.
hints
I
of
think
it. So I was
the way
like,
the whole
nah, I
conversation
gotta put
happened
it
was
out.
with you, Reese, right? You told me that you were doing your project, and
Hmm.
then Joe was doing the same project, and then you were kind of like, "Damn, we're both doing the same project." And I was like, "Dude, that's a good thing." You know what I mean?
I
You have
was actually going to do it
No,
because
still do it
I
because I
got
want to.
a
I
couple of
want to
Albies
drop blood.
from Dragoon Geckos. But I ended up I'm working with Gem, not Alby. I have Albies, but I'm going to go a different direction with those now so that I don't step on Reese's toes. But
No,
I'm
no,
still,
no.
just so you know, I'm still going to be pairing that direction to see it, and that way, perhaps in the future, we can
Yeah,
share
no, I want to share blood. So
fresh
do it.
blood.
I just think
So
it's important because you could also see different phenotypes. You know what I mean? Like if other people are doing the same project, maybe you realize it's not worth it if you see other people's productions. You know what I mean? Like if I'm doing a tangerine bold and Reese is doing a tangerine bold and we're using the same stock and we're pairing stuff off and I don't like what he's doing and I don't like what I'm doing, I'm not gonna keep going. But if I don't like what I'm doing but I like what he's doing, I have potential that I could get there at some point or there's a light, you know what I mean? Like it gives you more of an initiative to want to do better. But if there's no one else doing what you're doing, yeah, you're cool. You're the first one doing it, but you're the only one doing
The
it,
only one
and then it
now.
becomes it becomes a niche, and it also becomes a thing if what your project you're working on is something that people are going to want. You know what I mean? But also
Yeah.
that goes into a whole different topic because I also feel that certain people need to hype up their projects. You know what I mean? Like if you're doing a certain project and you want to sell that animal, you have to hype it up. No one's going to sell your animals but yourself. You know what I mean? So you have to also build up a hype and build up this is a conversation I have. I hate to put him out here like this, but this is a conversation I had with my partner, with Chris, CNM Reptiles, that he has a certain project that he's like, oh, it's not really taking off. I'm like, but are you hyping it up? And he's like, no, not really. Well, that's your issue. You know what I mean? Like, how are people going to get excited about it if you're
Yeah,
not talking about it?
it's hard to get excited if you don't know what to be excited for.
Exactly. Correct.
No, I definitely
so
get that.
yeah. Speaking of him, he said the four bolts I posted the other day are from him. I'm actually looking
From your
for them.
mail. From your mail.
Yeah.
So
Right? Yeah.
I would say that first that one in between that one.
Okay.
What's I can't see the description. What does it say?
It says electric tangerines, het
No,
free.
that's not it. Then I don't want to keep going through this. He's got a message on through. I'm doing 2 projects.
Okay, he's working with Blue Amber Eye too. That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people are working with Blue Amber Eye. That was the other thing. Is why I had it.
Well, that was the thing too, because the initial goal was for like it's the thing like I want to be the first, right? So his thing was I want to be the first doing it in the UK, but you have to build the hype to be able to make people want to buy it because at the same time you're working with a gene that it's not problematic, but it's finding a clean enough animal to breed to it. So if you're working with Bay, where are you gonna find the clean animal that's not head eclipse? You know what I mean? Like it's hunting that out, finding that out, making sure it's clean, and then being able to use it. So I think when it comes to any gene that's an eye gene, it becomes very niche because then you're only marketing certain people because everyone's going to want to stay away because of eyes.
Yeah, I can see that. Because when I brought it up before, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, I don't trust it," and make sure you test it out with everything, and blah blah blah
But
blah.
then you hear a lot of
So
rumors also that I've heard it's head eclipse and I've heard this and that. You
all
know what I
that,
mean?
but that goes back to the source of where you get your geckos from. Like
And
we
it's
talked
also a
about.
lot of it's just rumors.
So I got it from the person who created it, from Ron Tremper stock. So I try to make sure
Yeah.
to get it from the person who tested it out, who bred it, and made sure that it is what it is, not from somebody else for $200 because it was cheaper. So I made sure to put in the investment and get it
But
from the
but
top.
then again, now you're shooting yourself in the foot because at the same time now if I wanted to buy, let's say for example, a Joker Outcross, right? And Matt didn't have anything that I liked, but you do. You know what I mean? Obviously, I'm gonna get it cheaper from you because you're not selling it at Matt prices. But you got them from Matt, so I could buy them from you trustworthy. But pretty much from what you're saying is that you wouldn't get them from a smaller breeder. Then yeah, I
No,
mean,
no,
it's like
no. I
you
wouldn't get it
know
from
you're
somebody who's just got to do research. Not saying I wouldn't get
correct.
it. I'm just saying
Correct. You have to
like
do your
I'm
research.
saying like
Yeah.
if that person did put in the work and they also got it from a good source, then that's cool. But you know what I mean? Like you can also just make sure you get it from the direct source if it's something you want to absolutely make sure
That
it
was
is.
that was my initial push on why I imported. When I imported, I wanted to work because my goal was always to work with the clowns and G Project stuff. So my initial goal was I'm not gonna get from other people that are working with clown. I might as well get it from the guy that created it. You know what I mean? So my initial import to get it from Matt was one, he came back to the hobby. So it was like,
Yeah.
dude, it would be stupid not to. And then
Yeah.
two, if I get it from him, it's coming straight from the tap. You know what I mean? Like it's no secondhand. I'm not getting in it from this person that got it from this person that I have to trace a history line to. It's straight from this source, and I could trust
And
it.
anything clown related right now, if it's not coming straight from him, it's 8 years away from him in a sense. Because, or
Dude, let's put it this
it
way.
has to be more like 10 years now, right?
Let's look at my original ones, the ones I think I had a conversation with either you or Josiah about getting rid of. Those clown G's are from when before Matt left. Those are the ones that he sent to the UK. So those, God knows if those are even pure. You know what I mean? Like no one no one know if they kept it true, if they bred it straight. Like when I got them, they weren't even clowns; they're G projects. So
If
they
Matt's listening, his left eye just twitched because there's no such thing as pure, which is why
exactly.
it's all
Yeah, yeah,
crosses
yeah. It's
anyways.
project.
But yeah, which is
But
why
I meant kept it
Project
pure to the
is like,
line. You know what I mean? Kept it
yeah.
pure to the project. But
And
like,
his Joker project is the direct line, him taking it from
correct.
where he left off, so that's kind of,
But
yeah.
also, if you go back and you listen to what he said, is that there's different variations of it, right? So he said that in the first variation, it was like the clown G, where it was like still like G Project the Clown or whatever the hell,
Yeah.
and then that I think is what floated around in the UK, and it was the early stage of it. You know what I mean? So imagine that being bred on for another 5 or 6 generations, if it's even kept to the true vision of it. You know what I mean? And then me getting those animals, and then me working with it. How true is it to the line? You know what I mean? I don't think it's very true to the line at all. You know what I mean? And to be honest, I have a lot of I battle myself a lot calling them clown G's or clown G crosses because of that.
Now, if I have any clown animals in my stock, they are actually labeled Sassobet clowns. If I work with them, that way, if I'm going to blend them to anything else I might have, just because it's not directly from him doesn't mean when I look at it, I don't think, oh, that's badass. I got to know what's in it. I'm going to ask 1,000 questions. I'm going to track the parents down 7 generations. I even reached out to Matt and say, help me find the parents to these. And he's better at doing that shit than I am. So it's like he'll get on the phone with you and it's almost like he can't stop. So next thing you know, he's on the phone like, I've been looking into this for 3.5 days, and you're like, holy fuck, bro! I just wanted to know the grandparents, and he's
Yeah.
got Matt's got it all lined out for you. There's no jealousy there. He's happy to help, and you're like, yeah, man. And so, because sometimes the animals look really cool, and even I've seen him. Actually, kind of how I initially first talked to him was an accident. We were both looking at the same animal, and I had just bought it, so.
He said
He
now
was
he's looking at Bengals. That's
yeah.
funny.
Bengals
But
are
yeah,
awesome.
so yeah, I'll look at an animal that's a clown, and I'll want it, and then I want to know more about it. And man, there's nobody better at tracking that stuff down, and you can actually learn that from Matt. He'll show you how to do it. But I think it's just because he was around back then. He knows where everybody keeps their shit. So
Well, that's the thing too, because that's another thing. Like we're in a hobby right now where the lifespan of a reader is what 5 6 years. So after 5 or 6 years, people are kind of considered like the OG or whatever the hell, because after 4 or 5 years, the faces that come back in don't know any better than the people that are being relevant. You know what I mean? So having Matt come back in, you have a lot of reminders of history. You know what I mean? Like he is especially being on your podcast and all that. He could be on your podcast and remind us of old history because he's been around for all those
yeah,
times. You know what I mean? Because the only other people that have been around for that long are what JMG, Gecko, and like Gary, like and they're not really speaking out as much as often. You know what I mean? So
I wonder
the
why.
only person that's still speaking out is Matt, and he's able to remind us of how shit was back in the days. Where if you really think about it, back in the days, everybody was kind of talking to each other. You know what I mean? Everybody was really cool with each other. Everybody shared information with each other. Everybody, yeah, there might be like discrepancies with people, but at the end of the day, like everybody
Yeah.
was communicating. Nowadays, it's a business. Everyone's cutthroat. Everyone's not trying to share information out. Of course, there was a lot of that back then as well, but I would think that there was a lot of excitement in what's going on that you wanted to share. You know what I mean? There's a
I
lot
was
of
about
things
to say, I
popping
call
off.
all three of y'all with excitement all the time.
Well, back what I
Me
was saying was
too.
that in that time, there's a lot of morphs coming out and a lot of first
No,
time
I
things
feel what
coming
you're saying.
out and a lot of things were like popping off left and right. So I bet there's a lot of excitement in the air. Where
But
now
that comes
things,
back to us too. So now, since we're the new generation, new wave, then we need to open that communication up and
I
talk to
agree,
people.
I agree,
And
I
do
agree,
it.
and I feel
That's,
like I
you know what
feel
I'm
like
saying? That
I
goes
feel like
back to the phone
Instagram
calls.
crowd
Like,
is
let's
good.
all talk.
Yeah,
I do that too. Like for me, I'm always trying to be positive. There's people in this hobby that I don't like. And actually, I was talking to Seth a little while ago, and he was like, "Man, let's just stop talking about them." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's a good way to put it." Because certain shit gets done, and you can't stand it, right? But I don't want to be a part of that negativity, and so I try to surround myself with the better people in the hobby. And by better people, I don't even mean better breeders, because some of that negativity comes from
Yeah.
some of the best people we got.
but a lot of that could be faked as well.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong, but I still look up to quite a few people that
Just got
don't.
to build your tribe.
Yeah,
The positivity thing is important, and I'm going to do it no matter who does it and who doesn't. It's just let's see. Matt says new morph social media was new.
yeah,
Lots
man.
of
It was a new era. There's a bunch of stuff going on at that time. I bet. You know what I mean? Like you said, like
yeah,
internet was taking off. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
new first of this, first of that, and mapping a lot of that was.
Yeah, he actually told me once that he got in right at the right time. He's like, man, everything
Oh,
was so
I bet
new that people
100%. I
were.
bet 100%.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome too. But yeah, this one, let's see. As for like reaching out and stuff like that, if anybody's watching this or watches in the future, I'm very easy to talk to. I am a very busy person outside of leopard gecko, so if you ever want to get a hold of me, by all means, just reach out. I'll get back to you as fast as I can. I've been wrestling back and forth with something that I kind of want to end the show with, because we are past 2 hours. But I don't know if I want to end up being negative on my own. I just kind of want to call something out.
Call it out, bro.
I know that if you're going to be on a show like this and you're going to put yourself out there, you're going to have haters, right? I've learned something about YouTube recently, and that's if you edit your videos, and if I'm wrong, again, somebody reach out and show me what I did wrong. If you edit the video, like one of the things I like to do is edit the video and crop out that 5-minute thing so that it starts right when we come on. And when I do that, it deletes all the comments. So I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm just going to leave it. But I like to give people time to sign on. I like to, while that 5-minute thing is going on, what I'm doing is sharing the URL. Hey, we're live. Tell your friends, whatever, like and subscribe, all those things. But the only comment, because I cropped that out on the last video that we did, was a negative one. And just reading it, I remember sitting back there. I was like, so if I call this out, I'm negative, right? I'm the bad guy. But at the same time, just reading it, I was kind of like, can I make the excuse for myself to be the negative bad guy? And I don't know that I want to, but it was just like this little nitpicky ass, not necessary shit. And it's not like they give their name, so I don't know. I don't know. I was wrestling with it, and I think what I'm gonna do is let it go. But it's on one of the old videos. You guys can go read it. It's a comment down there. It's the only comment on that video because I accidentally deleted all the comments, right? And
Is this the comment you were trying to share with us earlier?
yeah,
Um,
man,
Okay.
it was
uh,
interesting how when it came through, I looked at it and I was like, this is everything that I hate about this hobby right here in one comment. And then
Well,
that's the
let
other
me
thing.
ask you this: what makes you want to give it energy, even if you know it's silly?
Yeah, no, just the idea that it's okay to even consider talking to somebody you've never met before and critiquing them in such a way as to say, like, because I could read the comment and all of the grammatical errors. I could sit back and be like, oh, I went to college and I'm going to make fun of you for how you write things. Like whatever. That's exactly what happened in that comment. And it's just one of those things that kind of, 10 people can get on there and say, this podcast sucks. I'll be like, we're all new at this shit. Who cares? But this one was just kind of nitpicky and dumb. And I'm like, I'm having a good time over here. So anyway, That's it right there. Actually, when I said that was the comment. Right?
Mm-hmm. You're growing into
now,
your.
now I want to do it at the beginning, the
100%.
end of the sentence, and the middle of the sentence is a big fat fuck you to whoever that was. But anyway,
I was gonna leave a comment. Why does Joe always do this all the time?
He's
this is
starting a fire. He's starting a fire.
yeah,
All
this is
right,
actually
Peter.
I'm
I'm about to
nervous,
ask you a
and
question.
I'm doing something to become unnervous other than drinking beer.
That he can't hide well.
I'm all out.
Yeah.
So Jennifer just picks her nose. You rub your hands.
I don't pick my motherfucking nose.
You
I
can't see me,
sneeze.
so I'm all
I
good.
sneeze loud.
Peter's lucky we can't see him. He's like,
That's
I'm
why I
fine.
like
But
Reese.
the
Reese
whole
is
time-
like an automatic like little brother who comes in shit talking. That's actually kind of cool. That's how I met him.
That makes sense. You better be careful.
But to go back on that comment, you get me? Like you putting yourself out there, you get me? You're like you said, you're accepting a lot of hate towards you. You get me? And it's like one of those things that no matter what you do, once you start putting yourself out there, the comments, good or bad, is something you have to ignore. It's like one of those things that like you have to just like post your videos out, and that's what it is. Like ignore the comments, good or bad. If it's 1,000 comments saying that we love you, and then one says that you're a piece of shit, then it doesn't matter because you didn't see any of them.
Probably
It
that
doesn't
last
matter.
one for sure.
Yeah,
He's like, it's that one that says you're a piece of shit. That definitely came from me, right, Peter?
None of it.
No, man, I don't want to give it any stage presence. It was so nitpicky. You know, I was kind of like, huh.
It happens.
It's always going to be the one thing that doesn't matter, right? So it's always going to be the thing because they could go at you and be like, "Oh, Joe, you know, I don't like the way you do this and that," and you could be like, "All right, I go work on that." But it's the comments that are just like, "Well, you know, you're wearing a blue shirt, and blue signifies that you know that you really don't like things and blah blah blah," and you start getting deep into it, and then that's the ones that tick you off because it's like, "What the fuck are you talking about? Like, what the hell are you talking about?"
Yeah.
So like that's why when it comes to that, like I just feel like comments are just like.
That's what it was too. It was like looking on the person I had on the show and how they talk, you know, and I was like, oh.
I feel you.
But anyway,
at least you got it only on the internet. See, I had a comment on YouTube that when I stepped to somewhere in real life, that comment was repeated in real life. It was super funny. Yeah. So like I battled these famous dancers, and everybody on our YouTube was like making fun of us because the other people are more famous, so they were all about them. And then I'm in college. I'm walking, and this dude was like, "Hey, you were that guy that battled the Les twins, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's me. What's up?" He's like, "Man, you guys suck." I was like, "Hold on, bro. What?" You know what I mean?
You do the thing where you take your hat off and you go in front of the person that you want to battle, and you dust the floor and you back up, and like you tell them like it's your turn.
Nah, but
if you don't do that,
right, just like okay, now let's get it.
If you don't do that, you could do the wild card. That's what I'll call it now. You just dust the floor like, hey, your turn. So I just helped. So real quick, guys, we do have a couple of episodes coming up here that I wanted to discuss. I haven't solidified these yet, but I know we got Matt coming on here soon, and I wanted to let you guys know it's probably going to be next week if he's still available. We're going to be discussing another spotlight session where we actually talk about clown. And those are always fun, but we are having Peter back on, and hopefully between now and then, Peter, we'll get on here with the software and figure out your camera and everything for
it's all right. I like being in the shadows. We could just have my logo. People just know who I am.
Yeah, not for the next
not a graffiti artist.
But when he does come on, it'll be the 17th. We're going to work out the time frame. It is here on my website. You can see here at wildcardgeckos.com. / Geckoverse calendar, and then he's going to be coming on with Josiah. So pretty soon we'll be starting talks.
It's going to be, if anything, it's going to be me more asking Josiah more questions than me talking.
Questions.
Now he's not going to want to come on. Thanks, Peter. Appreciate you.
That's funny.
But yeah, we try to update this as much as possible for folks who are coming on. You can see what we might be doing. I actually want to just thank you guys for coming on. Peter, you actually jumped on last minute and kind of saved the day. Reese, thank you very much also for helping us out on this one, man.
I appreciate that it worked out, even though the video didn't work out, that I was still able to at least be audio ready.
Yeah, and if you guys go to the description below, I'm not going to edit the video, so the comments will all be there, but the description has their Instagrams. Definitely go follow them. They do a lot of shows. I know that Reese does a lot of shows. Peter, I don't know if you do or not, actually. Do you?
I normally try to. This year, I'm only doing the one at the end of the year because that's when I'll have babies ready. But I normally try to make an appearance at the shows, even if I'm not selling, just to show
Okay.
face.
When you are going to be coming to the States, make sure that you reach out to me more than a month in advance so I can see if I can make it up there. I'd like to shake your hand.
Oh, for sure, dude. If anything, I'll let you know now. I'll probably be there in June.
Where at exactly?
Okay, what you doing in
In
June?
Miami. So that's just
Oh.
I go there to visit my son during the summers. So I'll be there in June. Hopefully around the time I'm there, there'll be a show.
Yo, y'all could just both meet me in Atlanta. You know,
That's too
maybe
far of a drive, bro. I live all the way in South Miami. You're crazy.
If I go all the way to Florida, you're gonna have to go to Florida as well. That's
Miami. I'd rather be in Miami anyway. So I feel you.
yeah.
I
But
kind of
no,
miss Florida, if I can be honest.
You're
So
telling me,
what?
bro. I live in a great country. I definitely miss the sun.
yeah, I bet you're an island guy now.
Yeah. Well, I was always in that. Yeah.
He's an island boy.
No, don't say that.
You're an island boy.
All right, guys. Well, thanks again for coming on. If you guys ever need anything, please reach out to me, and that goes to the people watching this. I'm easily, I'm an easy person to talk to if you have any questions. If I don't know the answer to your question, I'll probably help you find it.
Riys, come on now.
So, all right, guys. Thank you, and have a good one. Everybody
Thank you,
stay on.
bro. I appreciate
Thank
you
you,
having
guys.
us on.